The world is shrouded in darkness. Various mutated monsters ravage the world. Enormous mutated rats roam the streets. Fierce mutated birds dominate the sky. However, all of these threats pale before the presence of something far more terrifying. Legendary evil creatures reveal themselves as the true rulers of the world. Humanity struggles endlessly in despair, powerless against their dominance. Amid the chaos, scattered glowing zones remain across the land. The appearance of the Stargate gives mankind its final hope. Talented humans who enter the Stargate gain the chance to awaken and become professionals. These professionals become the only humans capable of fighting evil. Dawn City rises as one of the protected strongholds. Within it lies a community built exclusively for professionals. A sudden scream shatters the quiet inside a large villa. A young man named Jin is violently kicked out and thrown onto the ground. His body crashes heavily against the courtyard floor. He struggles to rise, coughing as he presses his hand against the ground for support. He recalls how his parents died saving Fugo during a catastrophe 10 years ago and raised him as their own, only for him to seize the family property and ancestral house after they disappeared. Fugo mockingly admits his intention to take over the family estate and occupy the ancestral house. He acknowledges the Bai family lived in the villa for 5 generations, but all houses in the professional residence area belong to the 6 major professional guilds anyway. Mr. Song from the guild points out that Jin turned 18 without awakening as a professional, losing his right to live in the professional community. He declares that as the adopted son, Fugo automatically has the right to live in the villa and that there will be no dispute. Jin questions why someone who has not awakened a profession must be expelled from the professional community, citing others with similar situations as him. Mr. Song calls his defiance presumptuous and strikes him without hesitation. He threatens death for daring to question the rules of the professional guilds. Song announces he will leave first, ending the confrontation. He suddenly reminds Fugo not to forget the promise he made. He assures him that he will do exactly what he promised. From a distance, Fugo glances back coldly, while Jin remains battered on the ground as he tries to get up. Fugo kicks Jin in the stomach, then he suddenly stops as he remembers something. Fugo reveals he has been poisoning Jin with gray crystal lizard since age 10, preventing him from awakening his profession. Jin demands to know why such a thing was done to him. Fugo smirks and calls him naive, noting that the houses are built around the Stargate, which is the safest in Dawn City, especially the Bai family's villa, and declares that it now belongs to him, and being close to the Stargate is a huge help to cultivation. Jin accuses Fugo of scheming and plotting against him from the very beginning. His adoptive brother explains that as long as Jin does not awaken a profession, the villa will inevitably be inherited by him as a matter of course. Jin brings up his parents, claiming they were blind to sacrifice themselves for someone like him. Fugo casually thanks him for the compliment, continuing his mockery. He reveals that he gave his parents some news and they are out for an adventure right now. Fugo shares how Jin's parents risked everything to give him a chance to awaken his profession despite knowing the danger. Overwhelmed by grief and rage, Jin cries out for his parents while cursing Jin. The latter orders him to get lost and warns that if he causes trouble in the professional community again, he will be jailed. He claims he has already been very kind as a righteous brother. Jin is left kneeling alone behind the closed gates of the villa. Jin walks away and expresses his anger towards Fugo. His eyes burn with hatred as he vows to return no matter what. Fugo watches him leave and flicks some magic toward Jin without his brother knowing. With a calm and contemptuous gaze, he declares that Jin is already a loser and no longer a threat, but he declares that dead trash is the best trash. The pain is so intense that Jin feels his strength rapidly draining away. He clutches his head and wonders if he is about to die. Unwilling to accept this end, he forces himself to stay conscious, but he suddenly collapses to the ground. The skies tremble as a violent surge of energy shoots down with immense power and speed. Jin's body is struck by the overwhelming force, his body surrounded by a bright light. He wakes up and stares in shock, unable to comprehend what is happening. Jin never thought the legendary secret technique of reincarnation would truly work. As his vision sharpens, he realizes he has been reborn. A dark, monstrous presence stirs within him. Moments before the reincarnation in a different world, Shen, a god of war, addressed Tammy and questioned her actions. She apologized to her master and revealed that she had to kill him so she could become the strongest god of war in the world. Other warriors mocked Shen as an ignorant warrior who could not challenge the great demon god. Shen dismissed the confrontation as nothing more than a game. He accused them of pretending to cooperate while secretly clinging to power. The warriors were stunned after Shen claimed that he could never be defeated so easily. He rose up with immense energy and reminded them that he was the only SSS class god of war. Without hesitation, he activated the legendary secret technique of reincarnation. Flames and power ascended as he looked for a new vessel. The final remnants of his previous body crumbled away, Presently, he completely takes over Jin's body and orders them to wait as he vows to punish sinners one by one. Suddenly, he examines his new body and questions what is happening to it. He discovers the body is poisoned by the Dark Realm's unique gray crystal lizard poison, leaving the organs weak and corroded year-round. Realizing the body is unable to awaken a profession, he is stunned by its condition and how useless his vessel is. Fragments of Jin's memories surface before him. He recognizes resentment towards his brother and realizes their similar obsessions, making his soul choose Jin's body. Before dying, he learns that Jin was unwilling to accept his fate like him. He finally decides to fulfill Jin's final wish. The reincarnation is declared complete as he fully takes over the body. He confirms he has truly become the owner of Jin's body, despite its weak chance of awakening a profession. He scoffs at the idea that a low chance of awakening means failure. Recalling his past as the strongest god of war, he resolves to turn the impossible into reality. He reveals his mastery of countless secret skills, including one capable of reshaping fate. The 6 paths of reincarnation are introduced as a legendary secret art tied to the void. He decides to enter the Star Gate and face the awakening trial. Standing before the towering Star Gate, he declares that from now on, he will be called Jin. He swears that in the name Jin, he will rise again and stand at the top of the world. The Dawn City Star Gate towers above the plaza, radiating golden light as the awakening trials begin. Jin walks through the crowded steps of Dawn City, surrounded by professionals and applicants heading toward the gate. He moves forward calmly, thinking this place is far removed from Tammy's sphere of influence and suitable for growing stronger in secret. He reflects that Dawn City is a major city in the southern region, with countless professionals gathered here. Jin arrives at the registration hall and submits his application for the awakening trial. The receptionist informs Jin that he applied for 2 awakening trials this month and failed both times. He dismisses him as a waste of resources, mocking his lack of potential. Jin glares back coldly, questioning what the receptionist is talking about. A dark pressure suddenly emanates from him, shocking the receptionist as he senses something is wrong. He recoils in fear, startled by the sudden change in Jin's presence. Baki, the captain of the guard, notices the disturbance and asks what is happening. Jin recognizes Baki from his memories, recalling that Baki once knew his parents and had helped save his life when he was young, so he waits and sees how the captain of guard will treat him. Baki scolds the receptionist for being reckless and reminds him that the Bai family has produced professionals for generations and earned merit in Dawn City. Baki suddenly questions what about the stars of the awakening trial. He suddenly calls Jin, handing him the star card, and tells him to go attempt the awakening trial. Baki warns that if the awakening fails again, Jin should find a place to hide, as lingering in the professional community is dangerous. The receptionist bows his head, clearly intimidated by Baki's authority. Meanwhile, Jin thinks that Baki is a man who knows how to repay kindness, and his original parents saved the right person. Jin leaves the registration area and heads toward the Star Gate alone. The golden light of the gate intensifies as more applicants gather nearby. Jin stands before the floating star shard, preparing to enter the awakening space. The star shard reacts, pulling him into the glowing trial realm. His body is drawn fully into the swirling starlight. Inside the awakening space, countless glowing silhouettes of other testers surround him. Jin senses overwhelming pressure and realizes his body can barely withstand the awakening environment. He concludes that awakening a profession depends heavily on one's innate foundation. Jin explains that those who resonate with the stars can form a contract and awaken as professionals, further stating that those who fail resonance will remain ordinary and mediocre humans. Jin realizes his body is too weak to properly receive starlight. He acknowledges that even if he awakens a profession, the transformation will be incomplete. Determined to return stronger, he resolves to endure and push through the trial. Jin recalls the legendary secret technique, the 6 paths of samsara. He reflects that as an SSS class god of war in his past life, his divine soul should still surpass others even after rebirth. He ignites the power of his soul, activating the 6-path wheel. Golden energy spirals violently around him as the technique begins to operate. Vast torrents of starlight surge toward his body from every direction. The stars above react, forming radiant constellations that answer his resonance. A massive pillar of starlight descends, engulfing him completely. The starlight crashes down with overwhelming force, shaking the entire awakening space. Observers are stunned, comparing the brilliance to the sun itself. A voice marvels that someone has awakened a profession while completely transforming their foundation through endless starlight, while Jin praises the 6 paths of samsara for drawing resonance from the stars but warns that this transformation is only the very first step. The starlight condenses, burning hotter as the process accelerates. Jin calmly declares that the awakening has truly begun. He endures intense pain as the starlight flame tempers his body. Despite the agony, he dismisses it as insignificant compared to his past suffering. His soul roars as divine power floods his veins. Explosive flames erupt around him, signaling a breakthrough. As the energy settles, he wonders if the awakening is truly over. A strange, dark purple starlight appears, pulsing with an ominous and unfamiliar energy. Jin observes the abnormal starlight calmly, acknowledging its presence. The dark starlight surges violently as twisted energy spreads outward. Golden and dark starlight collide, as Jin questions whether the starlight flame has a third stage. He is engulfed in blazing golden flames, his body suspended within the starlight. Blue starlight ignites around Jin, wrapping tightly around his body. Green starlight follows, flaring powerfully as another flame joins the awakening. Purple starlight erupts next, its violent energy spreading outward. 6 different starlights manifest and begin rotating together, forming a vortex as Jin recognizes the awakening as extremely dangerous. He is pulled into a violent current of energy, enduring intense pressure without resistance. Jin guides the 6 starlight flames to temper his body, declaring his rebirth through the process. A vast void forms, with Jin's silhouette suspended inside it. The void compresses inward, shrinking rapidly around him. Cracks spread across space itself as the pressure reaches its limit. Fragments of the compressed void shatter outward. Jin emerges surrounded by violent purple lightning, his presence stabilized. He states that his body has recovered and that the residual poison has been completely eliminated. The awakening trial concludes as Jin acknowledges the 6 paths of samsara as a legendary power that can change fate. A radiant profession formation appears behind Jin as he reacts in shock, asking what profession he has awakened. After awakening to a profession, Jin's body receives enhancements based on that profession's traits. He manifests the strong physique of a warrior, the agility associated with a thief, the sharp mental acuity of a sorcerer awakens within him. His eyesight is enhanced with the precision of an archer, displaying the unwavering confidence of a knight as his power stabilizes, and the chaotic perception of a summoner. Jin realizes he has received the exclusive body enhancements of 6 major professions at once. He recalls that even in his previous life, no one had ever awakened dual professions, but he can now maximize the golden profession, signaling something far beyond a normal awakening. Jin realizes this foundation allows him to surpass all achievements of his past life, asking Tammy to wait for his revenge. The surrounding starlight space begins to crack as the awakening nears completion. He senses the awakening test is about to end. Jin calmly prepares to leave the starlight domain. His expression hardens as he steps forward with resolve. Suddenly, Fugo awaits outside and confronts Jin, who has come to the Star Gate again to waste resources. Fugo mocks him, warning him to stay in the slums if he wants to survive. Jin coldly tells Fugo to leave him alone. Fugo reacts with anger, clearly offended. He turns away, hiding his growing hostility. Fugo openly challenges Jin, furious at being talked down to. He realizes Jin survived only because he endured the poison and decides that he must be eliminated to silence the truth. Fugo takes out his weapon and decides to discipline his brother in place of their parents. He rushes forward to attack Jin, activating his bronze-level speed talent and strikes mercilessly. Jin recognizes Fugo's profession as a thief focused on speed and sneak attacks. He recalls that he was a triple S-level god of war in his previous life, making it easy for him to spot the flaws in Fugo's attacks. A massive shadowy serpent manifests behind Fugo as his power surges, but Jin is confident that he has a body stacked and strengthened by the 6 professions. He charges forward despite the difference in levels, landing a direct punch on Fugo's face. The impact sends him flying backward through the air. Onlookers are stunned that Fugo was defeated with a single punch by Jin, who they believe is useless. Fugo steadies himself and cannot believe he was struck so easily. Jin realizes he has only just awakened his profession and has not acquired any talent or learned skills yet. He acknowledges that the attack was not enough to fully defeat Fugo. Baki suddenly intervenes, warning Fugo for attacking someone who just passed the awakening trial. Fugo accuses Baki of abusing his power for letting Jin take the test multiple times. Baki defends his decision to give Jin multiple opportunities and points out Fugo should have noticed something different with his brother. It is revealed that Fugo endured the attack despite being at a higher level. He is shaken, realizing something is terribly wrong with the poison that he gave Jin. Baki scans Jin with a device to see his awakened profession. The display confirms Jin awakened the warrior profession, which explains his explosive punch. Onlookers assume that Fugo foolishly abandoned his thief profession to fight a warrior head-on. Silently, Jin believes that he will be in serious trouble if they learn that he awakened 6 major professions, so he used a breathing technique to only show his warrior profession. Baki officially acknowledges Jin for awakening the warrior profession, instructing him to report to the warrior guild for proper training and acquire talents, as he hands his official guild card. Baki reminds him that he has already wasted too much time, so he should hurry up. Suddenly, Jin asks Baki about the upcoming monthly talent assessment. He responds that the armored vehicles he noticed outside are already preparing to transport candidates to the assessment site. Baki asks Jin if he really intends to take the talent assessment immediately, warning him that the assessment is a one-time opportunity and not something to take lightly. After the awakening, individuals are first classified as apprentice professionals. They must study secret techniques in guilds for up to 3 years, and only those who have accumulated sufficient professional knowledge apply for talent assessment. Through the talent assessment, one can only advance toward becoming true professionals. Baki explains that accompanying talents are passive abilities that greatly affect a professional's growth and limits. Jin confidently reassures Baki, believing he is fully prepared for the assessment. Recalling his former life as a SSS level god of war, he assumes the talent assessment will be easy. Meanwhile, Fugo notes that Jin has just awakened and knows nothing about the assessment, still determined to find a way to kill his brother. Silently, Jin coldly decides that once the talent assessment ends and his profession is confirmed, he must eliminate Fugo. The city stands bathed in the light of the Stargate, while monsters lurk beyond its borders. Monsters are described as extremely evil beings that hunger for human souls. Lone monsters fear starlight and avoid approaching the city. History records many cities destroyed by monster invasions. When the Stargate is destroyed, starlight fades and humans become prey, triggering disaster-level invasions. In these wars, countless professionals sacrifice their lives to protect humanity. Each martyr leaves behind unyielding will that summons the Stargate's light, shielding the city. Tombstones condense starlight, forming special dungeons known as the Land of Starlight Gifts. Newly awakened professionals must enter these lands to obtain accompanying talents. The scene shifts toward the location where the assessment will take place. The city at night is shown as candidates begin gathering for the assessment. Jin studies quietly, noting that preparation matters more than brute force. He reads that Dawn City is surrounded by others who are planning to take the assessment. He recalls that the test of heroic spirits is always biased toward the undead. Jin reflects on his past life as an ordinary person who lacks support or recognition. The hierarchy of talents is explained, from black iron up to gold rank. Epic rank talents are described as extremely rare, appearing only once in thousands or millions. Jin recalls legends hidden deep within the Land of Starlight Gifts. Crowds gather at the massive entrance to the assessment grounds. Onlookers casually discuss aiming for at least a bronze rank accompanying talent. Someone recognizes that Jin has already awakened a profession while others mock him, claiming he only succeeded due to family resources and connections. Jin silently judges them for being ignorant despite being apprentice professionals with 3 years in major guilds. He reveals that guilds only share surface-level knowledge, while the Land of Starlight truly tests wisdom, will, and courage, rather than strength. Suddenly, onlookers recognize Lena from a prominent family, a top genius who awakened her profession at 11. The crowd wonders why Lena is taking the assessment despite awakening years ago. Silently, Jin notices that her aura is unusually condensed, far surpassing ordinary apprentice professionals. Meanwhile, the gravekeeper of the Land of Starlight Gifts is introduced. 2 high-ranking guild deacons, Gong, a C-rank archer, and Duro, another C-rank warrior, who will oversee the assessment. Rumors spread that Lena's talent could become a treasure for the Archer Guild. Gong asks them not to judge so quickly and states that talent assessments depend heavily on chance and timing. However, Duro argues that bad luck could result in a low-ranked talent regardless of effort. A heated argument breaks out among the two, while the officials urge everyone to stop fighting and begin the assessment. All candidates are reminded to pay homage to the fallen heroes before entering. The sacrifice of past heroes is credited with humanity's survival. The danger of the Land of Starlight Gifts is emphasized, warning that death is possible. Gong reminds candidates that accompanying talents are determined purely by luck. A towering stone monument activates as the assessment begins, then a swirling portal of starlight opens before the crowd. The assessment officially starts as candidates enter the portal one by one. Inside, the environment shifts into the Land of Starlight Gifts. Jin walks calmly while reading, drawing ridicule from others. A bully approaches him, claiming to recognize him. Fatty mocks him as the famous trash. The bully provokes Jin, threatening to beat him if he keeps staring. Jin coldly tells him to mind his own business. A sudden surge of blue energy forms beneath the bully's feet. He is dragged into a dark space as others react in shock that he enters the heroic spirit assessment. The bully panics as F-rank ghost-faced spiders surround him. The others react in fear, leaving them unsure how to fight without being official professionals. The bully's heroic exam abruptly fails, and the talent rune turns white, which signals a poor outcome. The result is announced as a failed heroic exam, with only a condensed inferior accompanying talent, while others mock him for having no future. Blue lights erupt as the heroic spirit's power activates again within the test space. Someone realizes he passed the assessment after all, but only obtained a bronze rank assessment and thanks the heroic spirit. The test environment stabilizes, revealing the true setting of the heroic spirit's trial within the land of starlight gifts. Jin explains that the heroic spirit is only the initial test, where passing allows one to gain the heroic spirit's starlight gift and its matching accompanying talent. Suddenly, someone asks Jin if he intends to continue deeper into the trial. Lena warns him that going deeper could unlock higher rank accompanying talents, but the danger will increase drastically and may become life-threatening. Jin declines further advancement, stating he cannot pass the heroic spirit's assessment if it relies on external power. Lena reacts in shock, questioning what he meant by external power and why such strength appeared during the assessment, confused that he is only an apprentice professional. Jin wonders why the heroic spirit of a silver-rank sword warrior has not appeared yet, until a beam of sword light suddenly descends, cutting through the fog-filled ground. Jin dodges backward as the sword energy narrowly misses him. A sword warrior stands confidently as he pierces his weapon on the ground. Jin summons his spirit, soul, and he reveals that he seeks an epic rank accompanying talent. Jin suspects that the heroic spirit senses that his spirit soul is different from the others. He realizes he cannot waste time, since the talent exam only lasts one day. Jin notes that the land of starlight gifts is disorienting, with no north, south, east, or west. Using Dawn City's recorded data, he confirms his direction is correct. He dashes forward, using sword light to move deeper into the land. A sudden clash of energy erupts nearby, shaking the ground. Two heroic spirits collide violently, their powers tearing through the terrain. Jin watches in shock, realizing both heroic spirit seniors are fighting. He apologizes again and explains that he wants to obtain an epic rank accompanying talent. The spirit seniors look at him, while others keep appearing as Jin can't help but attract them. Another spirit senior with a golden and voluptuous form appears, triggering Jin to look away. As he moves on, he realizes he has attracted many heroic spirit seniors. He senses this situation greatly increases his chances of obtaining an epic rank accompanying talent. However, something strange stops Jin from wandering. His frustration displays after taking a look at the situation, remembering he warned her not to provoke them. A massive golden explosion blooms in the forest ahead. Lena tries to dodge the golden arrows as it launches from the skies. Her confusion displays as she recognizes that their ancestor's heroic spirit has gone mad. Green flames erupt from the ground as the battlefield expands. Strange, ghostly flames rise, forming skeletal shapes. Suddenly, E-rank skeleton hunt dogs emerge from the flames. The monsters multiply rapidly as they transform from an arrow, confusing Lena. She realizes this is no heroic spirit exam but a test meant to kill her. She tries to reason out with her ancestor as she declares her identity and asks the spirit what he is killing his descendant. Lena asks what offense she has committed to deserve this. The ancestor attacks, declaring her unqualified. His strike is deflected as the ancestor repeats that she is unqualified. A massive skeletal beast charges forward with overwhelming force, forming a shockwave that crashes across the battlefield. She recalls her grandfather calling her the hope of the Lena family's revival, as her aptitude was unparalleled. She demands to know why the ancestor keeps rejecting her. Doubt creeps in as she wonders if something is wrong with her. The ancestor coldly declares she is not qualified and orders her to leave. Lena begs her ancestor to explain where she went wrong to be unqualified. Jin finally steps forward and asks if she truly does not know what she did wrong. She turns in shock, asking why he is here. The ancestor notices him and calls out to the young man in surprise. Lena declares she has trained relentlessly since awakening at age 11, tempering her spirit to the limit of an apprentice professional. She insists she is the most outstanding genius of the Lena family in a century. Lena vows that even if she dies, she will shoot the arrow herself. Flames surge as she resonates with the ancestor heroic spirit. He praises her resolve, saying the heroic spirit's senior values will encourage over raw combat ability. Jin points out that bringing 2 puppet guards was not cheating but an act of cowardice by the ancestor. Lena stares at him in shock, wondering who he truly is. The exam concludes as a blazing ring of light settles, signaling the end of the trial. Lena steadies herself, relieved that the assessment is finally over. The ancestor heroic spirit descends amid crackling golden lightning, acknowledging the result. Realizing the outcome, she reacts in shock upon sensing a powerful resonance. Jin confirms that she has obtained an ancestor's accompanying talent, ranked at gold level, which makes her future bright. The residual energy disperses as the battlefield returns to silence. Lena expresses her gratitude, still processing the significance of her success. Jin asks her to leave immediately and warns her that heroic spirits may degenerate over time, becoming extremely dangerous. Questioning his intentions, she asks why he came to a place meant for gold-rank heroic spirits. Jin calmly replies that his goal is to obtain a better accompanying talent, shocking Lena as she senses a weak aura from him. Annoyed by her questions, Jin demands secrecy and insists she not reveal his whereabouts. She points out that this area is meant for gold-rank trials and questions her decision to go deeper. As he leaves, she realizes he may be preparing to enter the deepest part of the land of starlight gifts. Jin arrives at a strange location and senses something ominous about the place. Using coordinates from Dawn City Hero's book, he confirms he has reached the correct destination. A crushing spiritual pressure descends, forcing him to brace himself as the environment reacts. He realizes the spiritual energy gap is far too large, and even without direct attacks, the pressure alone is overwhelming. He compares spiritual energy values, recognizing the Guardian's level far exceeds that of an apprentice professional. Jin acknowledges that despite combat ability not being the sole factor here, his current body is still a major limitation. Sensing the dense spiritual energy, he identifies the area as an ideal cultivation spot. He recalls a past life secret art, infinite Qigong, recognizing it as a crucial advantage. He begins circulating infinite Qigong, recalling it as an epic rank technique obtained by chance in his previous life. Spiritual energy rapidly gathers around him as the technique activates. Jin realizes his absorption speed is far faster than in his previous life. The dense spiritual energy allows him to absorb freely, accelerating his growth at an absurd rate. His spiritual energy value steadily rises, surpassing earlier limits. The value continues climbing without slowing. His spiritual energy reaches 99, shocking even himself, but he remains calm. Jin confirms that 99 is the maximum limit for an apprentice professional. With enhanced strength and a body strengthened many times over, he feels prepared to proceed. A massive structure looms ahead as lightning crackles through the air. A terrifying hound reveals itself with its presence cold and oppressive. Jin identifies the beast, the most ferocious beast among D-rank monsters. After hundreds of years, the spirit seniors sense that someone has finally arrived to take the assessment. However, they wait until Jin defeats the fearsome hellhound as he points out that the beast is only a weakened beast bearing only a fragment of Cerberus's spirit. Jin senses a form of spiritual energy rank suppression being used as the hellhound charges at him. Calmly, he admits that before cultivating, this monster would have terrified him. However, he feels confident now. The hellhound launches a brutal attack, claws tearing through the ground. Jin counters with speed but realizes his attacks barely damage it. He acknowledges that with his current combat ability, he can only scratch the beast. He mocks the hellhound, calling it weak like a puppy as he dodges its attacks. Suddenly, the beast unleashes a violent roar as it prepares another strike. Jin deliberately provokes the hellhound, pushing it into rage. The beast's power surges as its fury erupts, jaws wide and spiritual flames flaring as it roars in front of Jin. Suddenly, he jumps into the monster's massive nose, questioning why such a monster is allowed in an apprentice-level assessment. A sudden impact shatters the ground as Jin lands his attack. Cracks spread across its body as it collides with resistance. Jin reminds himself that the land of starlight gifts values wisdom, will, and courage, and not raw power alone. He realizes the hellhound is enraged only because he provoked it, confusing him since these creatures should not have emotions. The environment begins to shift unnaturally. Jin realizes that the terrifying scene is only a virtual projection created by the Hell Gate, designed to scare candidates and test whether they possess what it takes to proceed. The surroundings distort, revealing strange fluctuations in space. He questions whether this is truly the gate to hell, excitement taking over him as he enters the gate. Inside, blue flames light up the dark hallway. Jin recognizes this as the deepest part of the land of starlight gifts. His expression sharpens as he senses a new presence. A sudden fire blast flashes past him with terrifying speed, but he manages to dodge it. Realization hits, prompting Jin to conclude that this trial has reached an S rank. A blazing sword slash crashes down with overwhelming force, making Jin realize he would die instantly if hit. He steadies his stance, locking eyes with his opponent as the pressure intensifies. The sword strike detonates against the ground, sending debris and shockwaves outward. Wei's, an epic rank heroic spirit, steps forward and radiates oppressive power. The spirit stands confidently within the area, asserting his dominance. Jin calmly warns Wise to stop testing him. The spirit scoffs, questioning how an apprentice professional dares to challenge him. Jin states that combat ability is the true measure, not empty words. Wise mocks him, believing an apprentice cannot face an epic rank spirit. The area glows as the spirit prepares to engage seriously and covers the surrounding area with flames. Jin is suddenly teleported deeper into the illusion arena. He notices his spirit energy value has dropped to E rank, finding the situation strange. Wise stands before Jin as the spirits discuss the test and decide to give Jin a chance despite their doubts. The spirits criticize the decision to let an apprentice enter such a dangerous test. For the first time in 100 years, members of the younger generation have entered this place, yet the epic rank heroic spirit test proves far too difficult even for apprentice professionals. The spirits wonder if Weiss will go easy on Jin. The latter recalls that epic rank heroic spirits can pull examinees into fantasy combat arenas. Weapons manifest as the illusion solidifies around both fighters. Weiss challenges him to come forward, while Jin questions how Jin plans to fight without a weapon. Jin unleashes a sharp sword technique that cuts through the air, surprising Weiss. The heroic spirit realizes even with a weapon, resisting these attacks would be difficult. Jin presses forward with relentless precision strikes. Weiss struggles to dodge, shocked by the speed and control. He realizes Jin's skill far surpasses an apprentice's level. The heroic spirit admits he has never encountered someone like this before. Jin tells him not to hold back and to fight seriously. His stance is very similar to his previous self, as he asks Weiss to go all out so they can have a good fight. Weiss braces himself, gathering his remaining strength. He reaches his hand, preparing to catch his sword. Jin charges forward, as Weiss tells him to come. Their blades collide violently, sending energy bursts across the arena. Jin slips past the attack, maintaining perfect balance. Weiss's weapon is knocked from his grasp. Jin smiles confidently and notes this is already the 10th exchange. Jin declares the heroic spirit senior has lost. Weiss acknowledges his defeat with disbelief. The test is officially deemed perfectly passed. The heroic spirit suddenly disappears, shocking Jin since he hasn't gotten his accompanying talent yet. He wonders if he went too far by completely overwhelming Weiss. He returns to the dungeon while Jin's body still sits on the ground unconscious. The spirits note that the test ended far too quickly and assume that Jin has lost. However, they realize Jin is still trapped inside the illusion arena. Weiss starts to talk and admits his loss openly. The spirits react in shock, unable to believe an apprentice achieved this result. Weiss reflects that his defeat was complete and undeniable after going all out. He admits Jin's talent exceeded all expectations. The spirits debate whether such a person is even worth testing normally. One of them states that Weiss's rating alone is no longer sufficient. However, Weiss has an even crazier suggestion to the spirits. Inside the illusion arena, Jin's eyes widened in shock. 6 major professional epic rank heroic spirits suddenly appear in the deepest area of the Starlight Giftland. The pressure from all 6 spirits fills the space, yet Jin remains calm instead of panicking. One spirit acknowledges his talent and invites him to attempt a higher difficulty test. The 6 epic rank spirits stand together, proposing to give him 6 accompanying talents if he defeats all of them and nothing if he loses. Jin realizes that winning means obtaining all 6 major profession epic rank talents at once. The spirit also tells him he can leave safely with a single epic rank warrior profession talent if he gives up. Others expect hesitation, assuming the challenge is too dangerous. Jin finds the waiting unbearable and decides to face the difficulty directly. He senses the determination to fight through the monster army and open his own future. One spirit watches with interest, amused by Jin's confidence. The battle officially begins as Jin steadies himself. The spirits charge forward without hesitation and ask Jin to be careful. Silently, Jin reminds himself that the 6 spirits have fought together for hundreds of years, and their coordination and tactics are nearly flawless and must be broken one by one. Jin identifies the most dangerous target and moves to strike first. The thief sneaks up behind Jin with immense speed. Jin activates enhanced perception, combining vision and hearing to track movements. He clashes head-on with the thief spirit, overwhelming it with speed and power. A single decisive blow sends the spirit crashing down. The thief spirit is defeated almost instantly. The remaining spirits react in disbelief at how quickly he wins. The spirits become serious and unleash combined elemental attacks. Jin feels his body lighten as his agility and reaction speed increase. He counters with precise judgment, cutting through layered attacks. Jin's face hardens as the spirit expresses his shock after realizing that lightning-based control fails to restrain Jin. He attempts a direct charge as he tells the spirit that a warlock is like a glass when fighting up close with a warrior. The warlock spirit is defeated in a single exchange. Meanwhile, an archer spirit attacks from afar, attempting suppression fire. Jin blocks the attack and unleashes a counter-strike. He rushes forward through the barrage and lands a finishing strike which defeats the archer. The remaining spirits struggle to keep up with his speed. A summoner spirit calls forth a massive beast to crush him. Jin uses holy type control to bind the summon in place. He halts its movement completely, preventing escape. The summoned beast collapses under sustained pressure. The bear pauses after being hypnotized until it suddenly attacks the night spirit, defeating him in an instant. The summoner spirit is shocked after losing control over her own summon. Jin advances without giving the summoner a chance to react as he mocks her. In a flash, the summoner is thrown against the wall, defeating her. Jin asks Weiss if he still wants to continue, but the spirit surrenders as he does not want to be overpowered by Jin again. Jin is declared the victor of the 6 major epic rank heroic spirits test. His physique, will, and fighting talent are acknowledged as unprecedented. He is instructed to accept the accompanying talents as promised by the spirits. The 6 epic rank talents begin to resonate and fuse together. Their energies merge into a single, higher-level existence within his body. An aura far surpassing epic rank emerges, shocking everyone. The fusion of multiple talents reaches its limit as unstable energy begins to disperse around Jin. Sensing the danger, he steadies his mind, realizing the fusion fell just short of collapse. Refusing failure, he invokes his will and calls upon a higher power to stabilize the process. A radiant crystal forms in his grasp, condensing the chaotic energy. The hierarchy of companion talents is revealed, noting that gold level is already considered the peak by most professionals. Meanwhile, epic level power already belongs to the realm of legends, something most people have never even heard of. Above epic, even higher tiers exist, revealing gold and silver classifications beyond common understanding. He realizes this is an unprecedented mythical level talent. The mythical talent is revealed as Heart of the Brave, a rare ability compatible with all talents. It grows stronger through battle, restoring health, fueling courage, and unleashing overwhelming combat power the harder the fight becomes. The spirits realize that beyond epic, even stronger talents exist and call this moment nothing short of a miracle, declaring they can finally leave without regrets. They address Jin and entrust the future to him, urging him to serve Dawn City and the world as the light is passed on. The surroundings fall silent as the remaining presence fades away. Jin kneels and firmly promises to fulfill their wishes. The scene lingers on the abandoned chamber, leaving behind only quiet remnants of the past. Meanwhile, the crowd reacts in awe at the golden glow, realizing the Lina family's companion talent has reached gold level, while someone reflects bitterly on only obtaining a bronze talent despite giving everything. Gong confirms it is indeed the Lina family's top talent, emphasizing how remarkable it is to obtain a gold-level companion talent. Lina modestly downplays the result and insists it is nothing extraordinary. Gong tells her that she is too modest, stating this is a gold-level talent that Dawn City only sees once every 10 years, unlike someone who merely boasted before and after the assessment. Duro responds angrily that luck comes and goes, but sooner or later, the Warriors Guild will also produce a genius with a gold-level companion talent. Gong mocks Duro and tells him that he will be watching eagerly. Tension grows as rival factions react to the two prodigies. Lena's attention shifts to Jin, who has yet to return from the Starlight Bestowal land. The gate begins to close, signaling the end of the assessment. Officials announce the conclusion of the test, assuming late candidates have failed. A sudden disturbance reveals someone emerging at the last moment. Jin steps out, surrounded by residual lightning and pressure. His name is spoken, finally confirming his identity to the crowd. Some mock him as insignificant, unaware of what he obtained. Jin is directly questioned about the grade of his companion talent. Duro senses an unusual radiance emanating from Jin. The truth is revealed that he has obtained a gold-level talent. Shock ripples through the crowd as they realize 2 gold-level talents appeared in one assessment. Jin explains that Heart of the Brave can freely display power across talent levels, so he decides to show a gold-level talent instead to avoid questions. Jin remains calm, dismissing the jealousy and ridicule around him. Someone panics after offending Jin, believing that he will become an important figure in the future. Silently, Lena questions how he only acquired a gold-level talent when he explored the deepest part of the Starlight Bestowal land. Jin looks at her and motions to keep his secret. Lena blushes and takes an interest in Jin, finding him mysterious. Duro takes a closer look at Jin in excitement, making him uncomfortable. Jin is reprimanded casually, but Duro acknowledges him for his achievement. He is formally praised, recognized as a genius by the Warriors Guild values. Some scoff at the fact that Duro did not even know who Jin was, and now he is calling him a genius. Despite this, the assessment is declared record-breaking due to 2 gold-level talents. News of the result is deemed important enough to report to higher authorities immediately. The news spreads fast, and others debate the identities of the 2 examinees, confirming it was Lena and Jin. Fugo hears his brother's name and looks up in surprise. His furious reaction erupts as the reality sinks in that Jin truly obtained a gold-level talent. Dawn City's Warrior Guild stands tall after the assessment. Inside, elders discuss the rare emergence of a gold-level talent and speculate about Jin. Multiple gazes size Jin up, some impressed and even want him for their daughters. Jin reflects that he may have underestimated the influence of gold-level talent. His paperwork is finalized, confirming his assessment results. Duro officially welcomes Jin as a warrior of the Dawn City Warrior Guild. He escorts him deeper into the guild, mentioning rewards befitting his talent. Jin realizes the guild highly values gold-level professions. Treasury Manager Chen acknowledges Jin as a remarkable talent, presenting a reward item called Strange Fist Blade to him. Duro explains that this skill is among the strongest primary warrior skills. Jin learns the reward includes 10 primary star stones, which is a rare investment. He studies the strange fist blade, intrigued by its structure and potential. Chen informs Jin that his skill training efficiency is exceptionally high. He eagerly agrees to begin practicing immediately. Chen enters the room as Fugo asks him how the situation is progressing. Chen confidently states that he is more reliable when it comes to handling matters, explaining that Jin has already obtained the modified strange fist blade, and it will leave behind a fatal flaw once he uses it. Chen declares that when the time comes, Fugo will apply to the guild and publicly duel Jin. Fugo acknowledges Chen's reliability as he adds that if he can take down Jin and officially inherit the Bai family's legacy, he will express his gratitude. Chen coldly replies that they are all acting for their superiors and tells Fugo that he can decide the reward himself. Fugo vows to personally end Jin despite his gold-level talent and promises to take everything his family owns. Meanwhile, Jin deduces that the strange fist blade was tampered with intentionally. He suspects Chen's involvement but lacks direct proof. Jin senses deeper conspiracies surrounding the Bai family. Despite everything, Jin looks forward to testing himself. He reasons that with his mastery, he can complete the flawed skill himself. Jin uses the 10 primary star stones without hesitation. Star stones are explained as crystals that condense Stargate power. By absorbing them, warriors drastically enhance strength and skill growth. Although he understands many advanced skills, even divine level ones, he knows that to quickly enhance his strength, he still has to start from the basics. He reflects that, while he didn't study this skill in his previous life, Strange Fist Blade is one of the strongest primary skills in the warrior profession, and its difficulty is negligible for him. He explains the skill's principle, using the fist as a blade and treating the arm as part of the sword, and realizes it only requires precise control of spiritual power. He concludes that 10 primary star stones should be enough to train this skill up to the introductory level. Sitting down amid swirling energy, he decisively begins his training. The moment the energy surges, intense pain shoots through his arm, forcing him to recoil. The unstable spiritual power detonates around his fist. Jin reflects that Strange Fist Blade is the strongest primary skill of the warrior profession, yet its training difficulty is often underestimated, especially since it requires strengthening the body while awakening multiple professions at once. However, he finds it even more challenging. Accepting the risk, he steadies himself and commits to the process, knowing that enduring this pain is the only way to truly master Strange Fist Blade. Jin commands his power to condense. A glowing blade-like aura forms from his fist. He tests the skill against training equipment. The strike cleaves through targets with frightening precision. Jin concludes the skill is worth every resource spent. He notes that future advancement could elevate the skill to E level. After finishing training, Jin prepares to leave seclusion until someone calls him out. Fugo confronts him in the guild hall and officially challenges him to a duel so they can decide the true heir to their family's wealth. Loudly, he asks Jin if he accepts the challenge. Fugo's declaration draws immediate attention from the crowd. Jin steps forward confidently, mocking the situation as he flaunts his status as a professional and questions how someone like Fugo could dare challenge him over his inheritance. The crowd quickly recognizes Fugo as the Bai family's foster child, and murmurs spread as he tries to seize the Bai family legacy without proper standing. Fugo raises the letter and declares it an official challenge, stamped and confirmed by the professional guild, warning others not to interfere since it is a family problem. Onlookers whisper uneasily, noting that such powerful figures usually act in secrecy, while others caution that speaking carelessly about the Bai family could invite serious trouble. Fugo coldly asserts that the Bai family mansion has already been transferred under his name, threatening that if the duel is refused, Jin will lose any chance of reclaiming the place where he grew up. Jin reflects that he was initially indifferent, but memories of him and his growing resentment have slowly reignited his anger. With a smug expression, Fugo escalates the situation by proposing a life-or-death duel, openly daring Jin to accept the challenge without hesitation. In a flash, Jin takes the letter from Fugo, shocking his brother. Jin calmly accepts the challenge, shocking everyone present. Fugo struggles to follow Jin's sudden movement speed, suspecting that his awakened gold-level talent is speed-related. However, Fugo notes that the higher-ups have already taken precautions, confident that if the battle drags on and Jin's skill shows any instability, it will inevitably lead to his downfall. Drawing his weapon, Fugo declares that only death awaits Jin. The hall clears as the duel space opens. Fugo activates an E-level skill, green energy surging around him. He summons Swift Snake Burst, his movements accelerating sharply. Jin mocks Fugo for using the same technique again, only to have his strike cleanly intercepted. Shock flashes across Fugo's face as Jin counters effortlessly. Jin confidently tells him to experience the skill chosen specifically for him. Jin unleashes Strange Fist Blade Burst, a violet arc tearing through the air. Fugo is violently knocked back, skidding across the floor. Stunned, he demands to know how Jin remains unharmed. Observers praise Jin's control, noting the thief is completely outmatched. Duro acknowledges Jin's talent as once-in-a-decade brilliance. Jin launches another strike, slamming Fugo back. The latter blocks the attack, absorbing the impact. Jin admits Fugo is resilient, but he remains unfazed. Fugo reveals he's wearing high-grade golden silk armor. Others mock him for relying on defensive gear during a challenge. Enraged, Fugo vows that Jin must die today. He charges forward at full speed, launching a decisive strike. He unleashes his dual serpent strike, green energy spiraling violently. Jin coldly calls the challenger short-sighted and insignificant. Purple and green energies collide as Jin overwhelms him. Fugo freezes in disbelief, realizing his attack failed completely. Jin explains he sensed the inner armor from the very first strike. He strikes again, shattering Fugo's composure. Jin slams his brother into the floor under crushing force. Fugo's body collapses as the impact echoes through the hall. Fugo struggles to rise, while Jin calmly explains why Strange Fist Blade caused no damage earlier. Jin reveals he already figured out the trick behind the defense. He offers Fugo a chance to live, demanding the truth. He panics as Jin demands to know who is truly behind everything and what happened to his parents. Fugo snaps his jaw violently, as Jin realizes the poison has already taken effect. Laughing weakly, Fugo says Jin will never learn about his parents. He warns Jin that he will soon be crushed like an ant. Jin collapses completely, his body hitting the floor lifelessly. Jin realizes Fugo would rather die than reveal the truth, even with his life on the line. From the clues left behind, Jin deduces that the mastermind holds significant influence in Dawn City, making the situation even more dangerous now that Fugo is dead. Jin reflects that, although he wants to uncover who is truly pulling the strings, his current strength as a newly promoted F-level professional is still insufficient. As the crowd disperses, Jin quietly decides that his top priority is to rapidly increase his strength within the shortest time possible. A glowing barrier marks the professional community perimeter under the night sky. Inside his apartment, Jin begins absorbing starstone energy in isolation. Blue spiritual currents swirl around him as his absorption stabilizes. The energy gathers tightly within his core, showing precise control. He reflects on how a fully trained professional can absorb starstone energy at an astonishing speed, but realizes the last piece of starstone he had has already been completely used up. Recalling his early days as an F-rank professional, he remembers when his spiritual power was only 105 and notes how it has now climbed to 246 after continuous cultivation. He explains the theory behind starstones, stating that a single primary starstone can convert into roughly 10 points of spiritual power, though much of that energy is usually lost during absorption. In regular professional training, absorbing even 10% of a starstone's power is considered good, while exceeding 30% already qualifies someone as a genius-level professional. After absorbing 20 primary starstones and gaining 141 points of spiritual power, he is stunned to realize his absorption rate has reached an astonishing 70%. Even with past life foundations, epic secret arts, and limitless absorption, his starstone absorption reaches only 40%. Yet combined with his physique, it feels like an ideal match. Jin realizes his apartment lies on the outskirts of the professional community, limiting Stargate radiation, and no stronger exposure could have pushed his spiritual power beyond 300 points. He concludes Song is courting disaster and decides that after killing Fugo, he will reclaim the Bai family mansion for himself. With the mansion transferred to Fugo, it no longer belongs to the Bai family, and once Fugo dies, ownership will revert to the Community Management Center. Song coldly reminded him he was only an F-rank professional and assigned him an outskirts apartment before ordering him to leave. He admits the Bai family mansion is not something he can easily let go of, and the loss continues to weigh heavily on his mind. Jin acknowledges that Song is a C-rank community manager, and with his current strength, confronting him directly is impossible, so he decides to focus on improving himself first. He realizes that this time, his judgment was flawed, and he underestimated the situation more than he expected. He discovers that the merit balance left by Jin's parents was only enough to exchange for 2 pieces of primary starstone. Jin learns that over the years, they exhausted every method to strengthen and repair the original body's weaknesses, leaving behind results that now benefit him. He retrieves the remaining starstone pieces, then opens the Warrior Guild interface as he is determined to gather more resources. Mission listings appear, mostly low rank with limited rewards. F-rank and E-rank missions offer too few merit points to matter. Jin considers attempting higher risk missions despite the danger. Jin notes that D-rank missions are tempting but too dangerous for his current level, worrying that standing out will attract hostile attention too early. Jin searches for fast income without drawing notice. An E-class mission in the mossy forest catches his attention. He senses the forest may yield valuable returns. The scene shifts to the suburb's professional camp near the forest. Jin confirms the mossy forest lies in that direction. Someone suddenly calls out his name. Lena happens to be in the same location, as she asks him if he also accepted the mission for the mossy forest. Jin recognizes her arrival immediately. Without hesitation, she boldly invites Jin to join her team. Another member warns her not to recruit without approval. The E-rank knight Luke dismisses Jin as a burden. Lena refutes the insult, citing Jin gold-level talent, and calls Luke uninformed. Suddenly, E-rank archer Tong formally introduces himself and welcomes Jin. The latter responds respectfully, acknowledging the team's hierarchy. Luke continues belittling Jin as an F-rank liability. Tong cuts him off, urging action over pointless arguing. With night falling, the team prepares to head out. Night settles over the mossy forest as faint, unnatural sounds echo between the trees. The team moves along the outer perimeter, alert to movements hidden in the shadows. Lena leaps forward and draws her bow mid-air. She releases a glowing arrow toward a twisted figure ahead. The arrow strikes cleanly against an E-rank twisted dark treant, erupting in flames upon impact. Luke charges forward, clashing head-on with the treant as he smashes his shield. Tong calmly draws a bow and releases a glowing arrow, his attack precise and controlled. The arrow detonates on impact, triggering a fiery explosion that tears through the battlefield and overwhelms the enemy's position. Luke comments casually that dealing with E-rank threats like this should be handled by the captain, implying the fight is far too easy. Luke questions Jin, explaining that E-rank missions are beyond what an F-rank warrior should handle, prompting Lena to ask what he truly means. Lena angrily snaps back, stating she fired the first arrow and accusing Luke of mocking him for being only an F-rank archer, pointing out that she has the same rank as Jin. A sudden sneak attack erupts from the shadows, catching the group off guard as someone urgently warns Lena to be careful. Lena narrowly avoids the attack, reacting just in time as the weapon brushes past his face. Jin steps in decisively as he stops the strike, drawing the blade and positioning himself in front of Lena. Lena urgently identifies the attacker's position, locking onto the hidden assailant lurking deeper within the forest. An E-rank thief from their team leaps forward at high speed, telling the others to leave the enemy to him. The thief clashes head-on with a twisted E-rank archer, their attacks colliding violently as the ambush turns into open combat. He unleashes a rapid, lightning-charged strike, pressing the archer hard and forcing him back under relentless pressure. From a distance, Jin and Lena watch the fight unfold, silently observing as the sudden encounter escalates beyond expectations. Lena thanks Jin for stepping in, and he brushes it off casually, reminding her that they are teammates and should look out for each other. Luke watches silently, irritated that Jin keeps earning Lena's approval, muttering bitterly as jealousy and frustration surface. Jin surveys the surroundings calmly, confirming his suspicions that something about this area feels wrong and far more dangerous than it appears. A wide view of the forest reveals thick moss and eerie silence, reinforcing the uneasy atmosphere as the group senses an unnatural presence. He notes that the Starlight Gate and the Dark Aura are locked in constant conflict, with neither force ever truly overcoming the other. Beneath the starlight lies darkness, yet darkness also gives rise to light, forming a fragile balance that shapes the region. However, Jin clarifies that this balance is not his main concern, hinting that a far more important objective brought him here. As the dark aura intensifies, more rare treasures are expected to form, revealing the true reason behind Jin's journey to this forest. The team moves through the trees as Jin observes quietly. With the final star marker installed, Tong declares that the mission is complete and orders everyone to pack up and return to camp. Jin decides to leave for now, planning to return alone later when darkness deepens, confident the current timing isn't ideal. Luke questions disbanding so soon, pointing out that an E-rank mission's rewards are too small to divide among everyone. He proposes pushing deeper into the forest, arguing their combined strength allows full exploration where the real rewards await. Tong agrees the idea is worth trying and asks if anyone has objections to following Luke's proposal. With no resistance, the team moves according to the leader's arrangements, continuing deeper into the forest together. Luke insists that once they go deeper into the mossy forest, an F-rank warrior like Jin will only become a burden and should leave immediately. Jin smiles as Luke gives him an excuse to leave the team. Lena defends Jin, calling him a genius with gold-level talent and arguing his strength isn't as weak as claimed. Tong warns that the mossy forest is still an E-rank area, and pushing deeper drastically increases danger, adding pressure if Jin stays. Lena hesitates, wanting to object but stops herself. Jin agrees with Tong's decision to withdraw, calmly stating he prefers acting alone and doesn't want others interfering with his own plans. Tong apologizes, admitting the team's strength is limited, while Jin accepts it peacefully and agrees to share future rewards if they meet again. Watching Jin leave, Luke sneers internally, convinced that the troublesome rookie has finally been pushed out. Jin reflects that worsening dark aura makes reckless exploration dangerous, but believes Lena's presence keeps the situation from becoming truly risky. He observes that 2 teammates are D rank, not E rank, and suspects they are secretly Lena's family bodyguards, possibly without her even knowing. Jin is relieved that he is finally alone, and it is time to get to work. Jin demonstrates flame manipulation, confidently controlling fire with precise movements. He enchants his weapon with flame using refined manipulation rather than brute force. A dark trant lunges from the forest, caught off guard by Jin's timing. Jin dashes forward, flames trailing his blade as he closes the distance. He strikes cleanly, proving that even high-defense E-rank monsters can be defeated instantly. He realizes the short flame blade is inefficient, consuming too much spiritual power, making it unsuitable as a proper professional combat skill. He concludes he needs to quickly learn and adapt skills from other professions to improve efficiency and reduce unnecessary spiritual power loss. Facing another enemy, he calmly advances while gathering energy, testing his refined control in real combat conditions. Jin notices his consumed strength is rapidly recovering, recognizing this as the growing stronger effect of the heart of the brave during battle. He kneels briefly as he examines the item that the monster dropped. Jin observes that intensified dark aura is producing impure dark star stones. He identifies these stones as unstable and unusable for ordinary professionals. Even discovering them would be pointless for others due to contamination risks. For Jin alone, the situation is entirely different. He absorbs the dark energy while extracting pure starlight without backlash. Deep within the forest, multiple dark trants begin to stir. Jin senses a dense concentration of potential dark starstones nearby. He initiates combat, spinning forward with flame-enhanced momentum. Shadows shift among the trees as monsters scatter from his advance. Jin intercepts a trant midair with a decisive flaming slash. Jin clashes directly with another dark trant at close range. He follows up with a high-speed charge, flames erupting in a straight line. The monster collapses as Jin exploits its exposed core. Jin acknowledges the pressure but remains confident due to his physique. He notes that their numbers are increasing faster than expected. Seeing the enemies try to drive him back so easily, he scoffs, refusing to be repelled and preparing to counterattack head-on. Jin lunges forward aggressively, shouting back at his opponents as flames and energy surge, signaling he's taking the offensive. With the physique of all professions and the heart of the brave, he moves freely through the monsters, unleashing attacks far beyond a normal F-rank warrior. A blazing cross-shaped slash tears through the battlefield, overwhelming the monsters with speed, power, and refined control. He realizes that at this pace, becoming an E-rank professional is no longer a distant goal. A sudden sharp sensation hits him, making him pause as an ominous change in the surroundings catches his attention. Strange energy swirls through the forest as he realizes the corpses of dark trants are being absorbed by other trees. Jin quickly assesses the situation, realizing the scale of the green moss forest's mutation has far exceeded his expectations. From above, the forest looks unnaturally alive, and a growing sense of danger makes it clear that a disaster is forming. Standing among the towering trees, he feels as if the entire green moss forest has awakened and begun to breathe. Massive roots surge upward without warning, forcing Jin to react instantly. A beam of dark energy erupts as the forest retaliates. Jin is knocked back, stunned by the overwhelming force. He acknowledges the terrifying strength of a living forest environment. Jin admits that even E-rank teams would struggle against this threat. Choosing caution, he decides to avoid direct confrontation for now. Jin activates limitless spiritual absorption breathing, stabilizing his aura as blue light gathers around his body. Using a concealment technique, he suppresses his spiritual power and vitality, blending into the forest like stone or wood. The mutated trees rely on perception rather than sight, making it impossible for them to naturally detect him. Jin realizes the forest's abnormal darkness comes from a widespread mutation rather than a single source. Despite the forest's vast size, he decides to proceed cautiously, knowing the anomaly will be difficult to trace. Jin senses something unusual as the forest reacts. Despite his concealment still being active, he realizes the peculiar trees are not targeting him, but something else moving within the forest. A sudden surge of movement erupts nearby, breaking the forest's eerie silence. A small tree-like creature struggles violently as roots tighten around it. Jin watches cautiously, unsure of what this strange being is. The small tree creature continues to gurgle as the surrounding trees close in. Jin observes that the forest itself is attacking the creature rather than protecting it. Sharp bursts of energy tear through the ground as Jin moves in to intervene. He lands decisively, forcing the attacking roots to retreat. The forest recoils, momentarily stunned by his sudden appearance. The tree creature stares at Jin warily, its expression filled with confusion and fear. He gently restrains it, confirming it is not hostile. He realizes the creature possesses rich starlight energy rather than dark corruption. The creature reacts timidly, showing signs of understanding despite its limited intelligence. Jin calls the creature Groot and senses gratitude from the small being as it calms down. Jin questions Groot about the source of darkness within the forest. Groot responds clumsily, indicating it knows something but struggles to communicate. Jin pieces together its meaning and asks it to guide him instead. After a brief hesitation, Groot eagerly agrees. Jin prepares to move, knowing time is running short. Elsewhere, chaos erupts against Dark Trance. Luke urgently tells their captain that it's time to move already. A massive explosion erupts as one member wipes out several Dark Trance at once. Another Trant jumps in the air to attack, but Tong shouts a warning as the blast detonates midair. The team braces themselves, sensing a greater threat emerging. Luke points out Lena's efficiency, noting she defeated 3 E-rank Dark Trance alone, while implying the team progresses faster without carrying extra burdens. She finds Luke irritating, sensing his self-satisfaction, yet admits the danger Jin handled was overwhelming for their current team level. Lena quietly wonders how Jin is faring, realizing his strength is likely far more complex than it appears. The thief senses something is wrong, prompting concern from Tong as he asks what exactly is happening. He warns the team that the Dark Treants they killed earlier have vanished, hinting that something unnatural is occurring in the forest. Shock spreads as the team realizes the corpses are completely gone. Tong deduces the forest itself is devouring the dead treants. Roots surge violently as the trees begin moving unnaturally. Luke is suddenly seized and lifted off the ground. Panic erupts as the forest turns hostile toward Luke. Tong's desperate cry rings out as Luke is dragged into the twisting roots. The forest surges wildly, as if fully awakened. Heavy footsteps echo as a powerful presence approaches from within the trees. Luke suddenly turns into a zombified treant, declaring that the professionals will all be buried there. Tong is shocked to see that Luke was infected by the Dark Treant, questioning how an E-rank monster could mutate so severely and threaten professionals of the same rank. Luke lunges forward, roaring its hatred toward human professionals and declaring its intent to kill them. Tong reacts instantly, drawing his bow and unleashing a powerful fiery rocket arrow toward the charging Treant. The blazing projectile surges forward, illuminating the forest as the corrupted Treant charges straight into the incoming attack. The fiery arrow collides violently, flames wrapping around the Treant's body as the impact tears through its corrupted form. Tong realizes the flame rocket is ineffective and panics. Luke charges again, threatening to crush his opponent. A warning is shouted as Lena urges Tong to move aside. The enemy closes in, leaving no room to dodge. Continuous wind strikes crash into Luke, halting its advance. He is violently blown back by the wind assault. Tong reacts in shock, noticing the incredible speed of the thief. Tong recognizes the skill as a D-rank ability, asking if they are D-rank professionals. The mage finally reveals himself, surprised the situation escalated this far. Lena looks shaken as she begins to realize the situation. The mage confirms they were ordered by the family head to secretly guard Lena. She lowers her head and learns that his father gave the order. Her protectors leap into action, telling Lena to rest assured. Green energy erupts as more corrupted threats stir. The thief struggles to understand how the situation became this dire. He questions why the dark branches are corroding Luke. The enemy's regeneration speed is revealed to be dangerously fast. A massive dark monster fully manifests, towering over the battlefield. The mage decides to open a gap so Lena can escape. Lena hesitates, clearly unwilling to abandon them. Windblade Barrage is unleashed again to force back the monsters. Lena is thrown aside by the blast as her protectors scream for her to run. She looks back at the group, torn by guilt and fear. Dark Treants close in as they rapidly surround the area. Lena finally turns and runs, obeying their desperate command. Exhausted, Lena admits she can no longer run. The beast lunges from behind, closing the distance. Lena apologizes, believing the others sacrificed themselves for her escape. A sudden fiery slash cuts through the darkness. Lena freezes as a familiar figure steps into view. Jin appears in a blaze of flame and lightning, calling Lena's name. He urgently asks what happened and where Tong is. Lena stares in disbelief as Jin's strength becomes apparent. The surrounding monsters recoil, sensing overwhelming pressure. Jin positions himself in front of Lena, shielding her. Jin silences Lena harshly, asserting survival above all else. A massive horde of monsters is revealed, converging on their location. Despite surrounding them, the monsters strangely fail to notice Jin. Lena realizes Jin is concealing his presence with a terrifyingly refined aura. Jin notes the oppressive density of the area, realizing how dangerous the surroundings truly are. The forest falls eerily quiet as glowing spores drift between towering trees. Jin leads Lena to a hidden rocky ledge, judging it temporarily safe. He demands a full account of what happened on her side. Jin explains that the mage and thief in the team are only D-rank professionals. Lena is still shaken and asks how Jin discovered everything so quickly. Lena asks Jin how he knew there were 2 D-level professionals on the team, clearly surprised by his awareness. Jin calmly questions her back, telling Lena the answer was obvious if she simply paid closer attention. Jin explains that their movements and battle reactions gave them away, but Lena failed to notice the subtle signs. Jin criticizes Lena's observation skills, noting that as an archer, her judgment should be sharper, calling her oversight disappointing. Lena admits he is right, blaming her own lack of strength and believing the situation could have been avoided if she were stronger. Jin coldly tells Lena that crying won't help and demands she explain the situation properly instead of breaking down. Lena explains that deeper inside the mossy forest, they suddenly encountered monsters stronger than expected, catching the team completely off guard. Jin listens and calmly acknowledges the report, stating that the situation inside the mossy forest is developing as he anticipated. Lena tells Jin he has the ability to avoid these monsters and urges him to return to camp to report the danger to the guild. Jin questions whether guild reinforcements could still save the others, then concludes that with the right approach, an E-level professional can handle this situation. Jin concludes that even with 2 D-level professionals present, the team is still on the brink of total collapse, calling the situation a complete waste. Lena explains that after corruption, Luke's strength has risen far beyond normal limits, questioning how E-rank professionals could possibly handle such a threat. Jin steps forward without hesitation, his movement deliberate, showing that he has already made his decision. He tells Lena to take him directly to the source, stating that he intends to personally resolve the anomaly within the mossy forest. A violent surge of green energy tears through the forest as Jin clashes head-on with the anomaly, his strike cutting through the swirling force. Realizing the danger is escalating beyond control, the mage steadies himself and declares that he must stop the threat immediately. Jin and Lena return to the scene as the massive green vortex looms on the ground. Lena urgently tells Jin that Tong and the others cannot hold out much longer, her expression tense as the situation worsens. Jin admits he cannot save everyone, but calmly assures Lena that he can still save them, signaling his resolve to act. Lena is startled and asks what she can do, leaving her confused and unsure of her own role. Jin calmly tells Lena to learn how to use her talent, explaining that her gold-level ability, inherited from her ancestors, perfectly suits her nature. He challenges Lena to reflect on herself, asking if she has ever mastered the basics or believes she is worthy of such an extraordinary talent. Realizing the urgency, Jin urges Lena to act immediately, telling her to use her talent now if she truly wants to save everyone. Determined yet nervous, Lena begs Jin to teach her and admits she does not know what to do but is ready to try. Jin instructs Lena to calm herself, observe her talent carefully, and focus on using it properly instead of forcing power blindly. Lena closes her eyes as golden light floods her vision. The golden mark awakens as Jin recognizes Lena's ability as Hawk's Eye, noting her exceptional potential and realizing how far she could rise with proper training. Watching Lena awaken her talent, Jin reflects that teaching her again feels ironic, wondering if this moment is humbling enough for both teacher and student. Lena opens her glowing eyes in shock, quietly realizing she can finally see something she never noticed before. Lena focuses on Luke and realizes his dark aura is overlapping with dozens of twisted dark trance converging together. Jin urges Lena to continue observing, warning that what she has seen so far is still far from the full picture. Determined, Lena steels herself and promises to do her best as she pushes her awakened vision further. Her golden eyes tremble as understanding dawns, and Lena quietly admits that she finally sees what is happening. Lena witnesses the convergence of power, realizing the twisted forces are merging into something far more dangerous. Jin explains that the anomaly comes from Luke's corruption, causing the mossy forest to act like a single, unified entity. The fused power of countless corrupted trance overwhelms Luke, collapsing inward and forming a concentrated core that will determine his defeat. Lena nods in understanding, drawing her bow and realizing that striking the core with a single, precise arrow is the key. Jin knocks Lena's head lightly, warning her not to overthink it, as she yelps in pain from the sudden interruption. Jin calmly reminds Lena to use her judgment, questioning whether her arrows can pierce the core's defenses without thinking it through. Lena swallows her pride and apologizes, sincerely asking Jin to teach her how to use her power properly. Jin bluntly explains that their failure came from poor adaptability, then challenges Lena to think like a marksman when brute force cannot penetrate the target. Realization dawns on Lena as she finally understands Jin's lesson, her expression brightening with renewed confidence. Putting his words into action, Lena draws her bow and releases a carefully controlled ice arrow with precise intent. The ice arrow strikes true, freezing and piercing the enemy's core as the monster convulses under the sudden, decisive blow. The monster reels as Lena's ice attack fully crystallizes its core, freezing its movements and leaving its body vulnerable to a decisive follow-up. Jin surges forward with his fist blazing in flames, calmly declaring it his turn as he prepares to finish the immobilized enemy. Lena lands beside Jin, proud that she did it. She calls out to him, clearly exhausted. She admits her ice arrows won't last much longer. Jin steps forward, ready to continue the fight alone. Lena observes that Jin looks cold on the surface but always acts at critical moments. Lena argues that Jin isn't acting recklessly, but trying to save everyone, questioning why stopping Luke must involve killing him directly. Lena urgently warns Jin not to approach, explaining her ice arrows can only restrain Luke briefly, since his defense already rivals that of a D-rank monster. Jin calmly counters that if they fail to break Luke's defense quickly, getting too close will only make the situation far more dangerous. Jin analyzes Lena's explanation, realizing Luke's vines appear weak individually, yet his overall defense is eerily silent and stronger than most D-level monsters. Jin reveals he anticipated this outcome, explaining that Lena's ice arrows were only the first step of a plan he prepared in advance. Jin ignites his power, flames surging around him as he calmly commands the fire to burn without hesitation. His flaming strike collides head-on with Lena's ice arrow, fire and frost crashing together as his blade drives straight into Luke's defense. The violent collision of fire and ice multiplies their force, unleashing destructive power far greater than either element could achieve alone. As the energies intertwine, Jin guides the fusion precisely, urging fire and ice to merge and respond to his will. The combined attack erupts outward, finally breaking through Luke's defenses as the explosive force tears into his body. Lena stares in shock, realizing Jin has broken through the monster's defense, struggling to understand how he accomplished something that should have been impossible. The shattered defense reveals the corrupted dark core inside Luke, its twisted energy pulsing violently as its true weakness is finally exposed. Jin gathers his flames tightly, declaring his intent as he channels his full strength into a decisive flame fist blade attack. He charges forward and slashes straight through Luke's exposed core, flames tearing through the monster as the blow lands cleanly. The corrupted core fractures completely, shattering into pieces and signaling Luke's imminent defeat. Luke collapses as the corruption fades, his twisted form breaking apart while his body begins reverting to its original state. Regaining consciousness, Luke looks around in confusion, struggling to understand where he is and what has happened to him. Seeing Jin, Luke angrily lashes out and calls him a loser despite his own defeat and weakened condition. Jin reacts with disbelief and irritation, questioning the insult before mocking Luke's arrogance as a foolish rookie's attitude. Jin explains that Luke's inner weakness allowed the twisted trance to corrupt him, exploiting a vulnerability that should never have existed. Luke clutches his head in shock, realizing everything that happened was orchestrated, his suspicion finally locking on to Jin. Enraged, Luke lunges forward, accusing Jin of scheming behind everything and shouting insults as he attacks recklessly. Jin stares him down coldly, calling him a fool, completely unfazed by the sudden assault. With a swift motion, Jin counters and sends Luke flying, overwhelming him with precise control and power. Luke crashes hard into the ground, his body slamming down violently as the attack ends in utter defeat. Luke lies motionless on the ground as the battle ends, his corrupted body finally collapsing after the decisive blow. Jin looks down coldly, judging Luke's downfall as the result of ignorance and jealousy, mocking him for dying to his own hatred. Noticing something left behind, Jin reaches down and calmly picks up a glowing purple crystal. He identifies the item as an intermediate-level dark star stone, realizing it was the true source behind the forest anomaly. Surrounded by dark energy, Jin scoffs, amused that unclaimed corruption tried to affect him, calling it nothing more than a joke. The corrupted black branches crumble away, and the forest's malicious aura fades, though Jin senses a faint unease lingering beneath the calm. Jin checks on Tong and the others, confirming that everyone survived the chaos. Lena reassures them it is over, calling the danger nothing more than a passing storm, relieved no one is gravely injured. Lena thanks Jin sincerely, admitting that without him, none of them would have made it out alive. Jin responds calmly, saying he does not seek simple gratitude, hinting that his actions carried deeper intent. Lena grows flustered as Jin approaches, nervously wondering what he wants while realizing he seems oddly interested in her. Jin asks what she remembers from the professional trial, specifically questioning what happened to her afterward. Lena confirms she remembers and agrees to keep everything secret, though she admits she may have misunderstood his intentions. Jin tells everyone the area is safe for now and instructs them to stay put, prompting Lena to ask where he is going. Jin explains he is heading deeper into the mossy forest to deal with the root of the anomaly. Lena watches Jin go, surprised by his resolve to deal with the origin of the anomaly. Jin surveys the forest calmly, noting that everything unfolding matches his expectations. The black trees have withered, showing Luke consumed much of the anomaly's power, though the exact source location remains difficult to pinpoint. Jin softly calls out to Groot, signaling that it is time for help. He tells Groot it is his moment to shine and guide them to the anomaly's source. Groot responds eagerly as Jin focuses, relying on him to reveal the hidden location. Jin moves deeper into the mossy forest, following faint and irregular traces of energy that twist unnaturally through the trees, as if something is deliberately hiding its presence. He slows to a stop, scanning his surroundings and questions whether this spot is truly the destination. A heavy mix of decay, malevolence, and unfamiliar fluctuations fills the air, making Jin realize the corruption here is layered, unstable, and far more complex than expected. Groot concentrates, reacting to the lingering energy. A faint green glow responds to Groot's sensing ability, guiding them towards something hidden nearby. A massive hollow glowing from within is revealed inside a towering ancient tree, its interior radiating an eerie yet strangely pure energy. Jin realizes the anomaly has been concealed within this giant tree, hidden in plain sight beneath layers of corrupted forest growth. He calmly asks Groot if this is the place he came from, watching closely for any reaction. Groot responds softly, his emotional reaction unmistakable, confirming the tree holds deep personal significance. Jin finds it unsettling that such a corrupted anomaly could give birth to a pure tree spirit like Groot. Jin notes that throughout their journey, he hasn't encountered a single monster. He questions whether they have finally reached the heart of the anomaly or if something worse lies ahead. As they move forward, Jin hesitates. The ruins of a strange, abandoned town suddenly emerge from the forest. Jin observes the architecture carefully, realizing it doesn't resemble any known human settlement. Despite the devastation, the area feels disturbingly peaceful and makes Jin uneasy. He activates his ability, sending his senses outward to scan the surroundings. Invisible energy waves spread in all directions, probing the ruins for hidden threats or sources. Jin suddenly detects something concealed nearby. Its presence emits a strong, malevolent aura, prompting him to enhance his strength first. Jin briefly considers using a dark star stone to strengthen himself for what lies ahead. Groot reacts strongly, calling out anxiously. Jin pauses and asks if Groot wants him to take him somewhere specific. Groot meets Jin's gaze with clear intent, silently urging him to follow. Understanding his meaning, Jin agrees and allows Groot to guide him. Jin approaches a sealed area near the ruins, where the air feels heavier and more distorted. Groot reveals that this place is where he was born, his emotions quietly surfacing. Floating orbs appear, projecting fragments of Groot's past memories into the air. Jin watches silently as the visions unfold before him. He realizes this area was once a thriving town built by tree folk. The visions show the tree people living peacefully, their daily lives filled with harmony. A dark force suddenly invades the memories, spreading corruption rapidly. The vision shatters violently as the town is destroyed. Jin gently asks if Groot wants to see how his people are now. Groot responds quietly, his sadness unmistakable. Jin agrees to continue but warns that the town has likely been ruined for a long time. He kneels briefly, steadying his mind before moving forward. Jin hopes Groot's family escaped when the monsters attacked. Suddenly, Jin senses danger and becomes alert. Several corrupted bodies appear scattered across the ground nearby. Groot breaks down in tears at the horrifying sight before him. Jin shields Groot and tells him not to look, blocking the scene from view. As he stands there, Jin reflects on the cruelty and darkness that now defines the world. The ruined forest lies silent beneath a darkened sky as Jin advances cautiously. He senses that Groot's emotions remain unstable, the lingering resentment and sorrow refusing to calm. Realizing waiting will change nothing, Jin decides to act alone and take initiative. Groot reacts softly as Jin calls out to him and asks if it wants to accompany him. Jin asks Groot whether it wants to avenge its kin. Jin notes that Groot's behavior feels unusually mature, far beyond what his age suggests. Together, they move toward the ruined village to investigate the source of the disturbance. Jin senses the origin of the anomaly must be nearby. He suddenly accelerates, moving silently to avoid being detected. Jin confirms he has entered the area without alerting any hidden enemies. A dense concentration of dark energy fills the air, strong enough to mutate ordinary monsters. Jin decides to push deeper into the forest rather than retreat. Dark treants quietly emerge from the surrounding trees, blending with the shadows. Jin notices the abnormal movement and immediately becomes alert. A twisted altar formed from black branches appears, radiating malevolent energy. Jin realizes the massive treant nearby may be the true source of the forest's corruption. He suspects someone is deliberately trying to absorb the treant's power. The ritual reaches its final stage, dark energy surging violently. Groot reacts in shock as the corrupt energy spikes suddenly. A horned dark treant priest reveals himself before the altar. The enemies detect intruders, and an alarm spreads through the forest. Treants rush forward after spotting Jin. He realizes stealth is no longer an option. The Treant priest orders the guards to kill the intruders immediately. The monsters charge forward, choosing direct confrontation. Jin decides the battle must end quickly. He clashes with a dark Treant, combining fire and speed in a swift assault. Jin strikes decisively, cutting down enemies without hesitation. He realizes there are far too many Treants for a prolonged fight. Jin begins preparing a decisive move. Jin shifts his focus, attempting to capture their leader first. Jin increases his speed, delivering precise and efficient attacks. The Treant priest moves in to confront him directly. Jin senses danger and hesitates for a split second. A powerful blow forces Jin to react defensively. Dark energy erupts violently across the battlefield. Jin realizes this enemy is far stronger than he anticipated. The Treant priest prepares a killing strike. Jin understands he is facing a warlock-warrior hybrid. The enemy proclaims himself the king of the mossy forest. Jin mocks the declaration, refusing to be intimidated. The Treant king charges forward in fury. Jin tightens his grip, knowing he can no longer hold back. Energy surges violently through Jin as power gathers in his hand. Jin challenges the so-called king head-on. Jin breaks through his limit, his spirit power surging into E level. The dark altar erupts violently as the battle reaches a critical turning point. Jin clashes head-on with the Treant priest, explosions ripping through the ground beneath them as their powers collide violently. The monster is knocked backward by the impact but quickly stabilizes itself, showing no sign of panic. Jin realizes he has already broken through to E rank, feeling far stronger and more stable than before. He remains calm, carefully judging the enemy's condition instead of rushing recklessly. The Treant roars loudly, completely unfazed by Jin's opening attack. Dark energy surges violently as the monster enters an enraged state, its aura expanding outward. Jin observes that its anger only exposes its weaknesses more clearly. The monster suddenly accelerates, its speed increasing sharply. Jin struggles to keep pace, barely reacting to the creature's rapid movements. He realizes the monster is now far faster than it was earlier in the fight. The Treant leaps high into the air, attacking Jin from above. He counters instantly with Flame's strange fist blade, striking upward to meet the attack. Jin notes that the Treant's tree armor is extremely thick and difficult to penetrate. The monster gathers dark energy into its hand, preparing another attack. Jin lands another heavy hit, forcing the Treant to stagger. A violent collision sends waves of dark energy rippling across the battlefield. Treant declares that Jin will die by dark erosion. Jin meets its gaze calmly, unaffected by the threat. He stabilizes his body and mind, preventing the corruption from invading him. Magical arrays form behind Jin as he prepares his next move. The Treant roars in frustration after failing to overpower Jin. Jin admits that ordinary attacks will not easily finish this monster. He recalls a weapon given to him during his childhood. Jin rushes forward, closing the distance without hesitation. He begins activating a freezing technique. Ice rapidly condenses, forming a short blade in Jin's hand. He charges forward, combining ice and flame into a single attack. The Treant swings wildly, trying to keep him at bay. Jin dodges smoothly and counters with precise movement. Cracks begin spreading across the monster's hardened armor. Jin presses his advantage with a rapid series of strikes. He decides it is finally time to end the fight. A heavy blow lands, sending shockwaves through the Treant's body. The monster screams in pain as energy bursts outward violently. Dark mist pours from its wounds, signaling severe damage. Jin steadies his stance, focusing all of his gathered power. He declares that everything ends here. Jin delivers a power strike against the Treant, prompting it to ask if he wants to eliminate it. The monster unleashes a powerful energy, surrounding it with a violent force. Treant howls, threatening to drag Jin down with it. Jin realizes this is no ordinary D-rank monster. He senses the forest's entire evil power flowing into the creature. The Treant transforms, its presence becoming far more dangerous. Jin sweats on his face as he endures immense pressure. He notes that as Heart of the Brave activates, extreme danger stimulates explosive growth in body and soul, pushing Jin beyond his limits. In the dark forest, faint blue energy flickers quietly among the trees, creating an eerie and unnatural atmosphere. A communication device activates in Lena's hand, informing her that they will rescue her soon. She urgently calls for help, reporting that her teammates have been injured and need immediate assistance. The device begins to spark violently, overheating as unstable energy surges through it. Without warning, the signal cuts off completely, leaving Lena disconnected. Lena freezes, realizing something is wrong, and hurriedly scans her surroundings. Deep within the forest, a violent red aura suddenly erupts. The ground trembles as an overwhelming presence awakens beneath the forest. Sensing extreme danger, Lena desperately calls out for Jin. A massive Treant engulfed in flames slowly rises into view. Jin rushes forward as shattered earth and debris scatter around him. He immediately senses that the creature's power far exceeds any normal-grade monster. His mythical talent, Heart of the Brave, activates in response to the threat. Flames surge violently around Jin as his strength rapidly climbs. The massive treant prepares to attack, so Jin decides to deal with it first. His energy continues to surge as he activates the Heart of the Brave, but the massive treant suddenly laughs. Jin's sharp gaze suddenly turns into confusion, until a giant vine smashes the massive treant. A violent clash shakes the forest as the impact collides head-on. Dust and debris explode into the air, obscuring the battlefield. The treant questions why the monster would attack its own kind. The forest responds as massive vines burst violently from the ground. Jin immediately senses the strange force behind the massive vines. Thick roots and writhing tentacles sweep across the area relentlessly. The monster unleashes even more destructive power, forcing the forest to tremble. A gigantic treant form begins rising from deep within the forest floor. The vines whip the monsters at the same time, prompting Jin to realize the enemy's strength far exceeds his expectations. The massive treant stands fully revealed, dominating the battlefield with its presence. Despite the pressure, Jin refuses to retreat as the monster comes his way. A dark silhouette slowly forms behind the roaring flames as the real showdown begins. Groot suddenly appears, its sharp gaze displays. Vines lash out again, attempting to crush Jin from all directions. His combat strength surges dramatically in response, realizing his power has increased nearly tenfold. Suddenly, something stops Jin. Realizing that the monster unalives itself, a surge of energy crackles around it. Strange memory fragments suddenly appear around the battlefield. Jin recognizes them as memories belonging to the treant clan. Dark treants emerge silently from the shadows. Dark forces demand the surrender of the sacred treant artifact. Chaos erupts as they fight to death. The treants acknowledge Groot's intelligence and extraordinary talent. They claim the artifact could protect him and guarantee his survival. Jin finally understands the true cause behind the forest disaster. Groot cries as its life force begins fading away. The giant treant gently holds Groot, softly telling it to live on. The treant asks Jin to treat Groot gently and protect it. He bows respectfully, expressing sincere gratitude. Jin acknowledges the treant as a brave warrior and shows admiration. Green treant energy rises into the sky and slowly fades, marking their farewell. Strange green energy pulses through the forest as ancient roots glow faintly, spreading vitality across the darkened ground. A massive tree stands at the center, its exposed core shining softly with concentrated life energy. Jin approaches cautiously, sensing an unusual yet stable fluctuation radiating from the tree. He realizes the forest's sudden return to lush greenery is no longer unexplained. The source of this change is the tree magician's own body. Jin inspects the fallen tree magician's body, checking both its condition and remaining equipment. The helmet, gloves, and chest armor are damaged but retain enough integrity to remain usable. He also gathers blackened tree bark infused with lingering magical energy. Jin pauses, realizing the amount of loot is too much to carry normally. He discovers the grass skirt functions as a pocket space storage item. Inside the pocket space, Jin finds 12 neatly stored medium-grade gems. He confirms the true value lies not in the gems, but in the space enclave itself. Jin recalls such space-type items are rare, even among Class C professionals. He studies the strange grass material, deciding it requires further retouching later. Jin turns to Groot as he asks if the ancestors have been already colonized. Jin notices Groot has been closely following him without fear. He comments on how small, compact, and surprisingly stable Groot appears. Behind them, the glowing tree remains motionless as its energy slowly fades. Elsewhere, Lena receives reports of an abnormal Class D forest change. She wonders if Jin's continued absence is connected to the incident. A beam of light suddenly dashes through the forest, prompting Lena to recognize it's Jin, feeling an immediate relief. Lena shares that the rescue team reports a terrifying transformation deeper within the forest. Jin asks whether the rescue team is already approaching the area. He reminds her to keep her promise. Jin lies beside the other casualties, prompting Lena to realize that he is pretending to faint. A signal flare rises into the air, alerting Lena. Shigo, Lena's butler, arrives and thanks Lena for holding out until reinforcements came. She is instructed to return to camp with the rescue team. The group prepares to investigate the forest's core region. Lena looks back repeatedly, clearly uneasy about what she witnessed. Doubt and concern linger in her expression as she departs. The scene shifts to the outskirts of the professional camp. Jin informs Lena that he is on his way out. Lena tries to stop him, asking him to wait. Jin formally requests the jungle exploration rewards as the team's acting leader. Lena watches him leave, deep in thought. Shigo speaks through the communication device and asks Lena if she encountered other professionals at the moss forest. Lena responds that there was no one there and asks Shigo what is going on. Investigators surround the glowing tree for examination and solve the mysterious transformation in the forest. Lena questions whether Jin's strength has already surpassed expectations. Jin walks alone through Fair City under the night sky. He reflects on the vast amount of training resources he has obtained. Jin realizes cross-category skill growth must now accelerate, and knows concealing his true intentions will become increasingly difficult. Suddenly, Groot tells him that it is already hungry. Jin gently tells it that they will be home soon as he wonders what a tree eats. Suddenly, he pauses. Song, director of the professional community, suddenly appears. Jin recalls how Song once took over the white worker's house. He admits the outcome turned out far better than expected. Jin smiles faintly and responds calmly, acknowledging Song's words while treating the situation lightly. He smiles with quiet confidence, warning that time is running out and that Song should savor this rare opportunity. Jin walks alone through the brightly lit night streets, glancing around as he wonders if this is truly the black market located within Al-Fajr City. He reflects that he must start making choices on his own path and seriously consider acquiring skills from other classes to strengthen his overall growth. Groot makes a soft sound from Jin's chest, prompting him to look down and ask calmly what is wrong. Groot continues murmuring while clutching food in its small hands, clearly focused on eating rather than responding properly. Jin watches Groot chew and casually asks if it dislikes these kinds of things, as it only answers with another quiet murmur. Jin observes that ordinary human food does not seem to suit the little tree spirit's taste, judging from its lack of interest. He stops in front of Zhang Bao Pavilion and decides to check inside to find something more suitable for Groot to eat. Looking at the long line, Jin wonders how long it will take to wait with so many people gathered here. Inside the store, Jin notices there are surprisingly few customers, realizing this usually happens when appraising low-level equipment. From the side, someone notices Jin's appearance and quietly remarks that another handsome boy has come to appraise items here. Jin overhears others discussing the shop's strict and arrogant rules, noting that even beautiful customers can be beaten without consequence if they break regulations. He reads the posted notice stating that anyone who damages the spiritual energy formation must receive punishment directly from the shop's guards. After finishing the notice, Jin calmly steps forward, his expression steady as he prepares to enter despite the warning. A cloaked guard blocks his path inside, standing firmly in front of Jin and silently sizing him up. Jin pauses, surprised, recognizing that a C-level professional is working as a guard at an appraisal store. Chuda, the guard, scoffs at Jin, calling him another troublemaker and warns him that entering the store means accepting and obeying all of its rules. He reveals a complex spiritual energy formation, claiming that if Jin can break it, his master will appraise his items for free. He coldly adds that failure means Jin must endure 3 full force strikes from him as punishment. Jin studies the glowing formation closely, narrowing his eyes as he recognizes its structure and silently evaluates its energy flow. Chuda gives Jin one last warning, telling him to leave now if he regrets it while reminding him not to run once the trial begins. Jin calmly mocks the shop's rules, praising the owner's creativity, while pointing out that Chuda clearly wants something from him, yet still dares to provoke him. The enraged guard grabs Jin by the collar, accusing him of reckless arrogance and threatening death. As tension spikes, Jin's attention shifts when he notices something unusual nearby, sensing a deeper issue hidden within the store's spiritual setup. A detailed spiritual formation appears, and Jin explains it is extremely rare, noting flaws in the creator's internal energy flow that weaken the formation's effectiveness. He claims that unlocking the formation is trivial compared to free equipment and insists someone wearing wolf hide gloves shouldn't meddle. Enraged, Chuda openly threatens Jin, declaring that insulting his master is unforgivable and vowing to personally deal with him using force. Jin calmly analyzes the guard, questioning whether his body is tensing or his spiritual energy is spiraling out of control, concluding these are clear signs of impending death. Chuda explodes in fury, shouting that Jin dares insult his master, while Jin coldly warns that such behavior means he is actively seeking death. Ying, the guard's master, suddenly cuts through the confrontation and orders him to stop. Chuda freezes in shock as Ying steps in. Ying calmly states that if Jin can break the spiritual formation, she will be extremely grateful and personally acknowledge his ability. Chuda hesitates and nervously asks if Jin is telling the truth, clearly seeking confirmation from the woman rather than trusting his own judgment. Jin smiles faintly and asks if this sudden question is actually a call for help, subtly exposing the guard's shaken confidence. Jin explains that the kind of guardian one chooses ultimately determines what kind of master they serve, asserting dominance through insight rather than force. He turns to leave. Chuda angrily blocks his path and declares that he is not allowed to leave yet. Chuda stiffens and stares at Jin in shock. A terrifying aura rises behind Jin, manifesting as a towering presence as he calmly asks how Chuda intends to stop him. Chuda breaks into a cold sweat, wondering why Jin's energy feels so horrifying, even though Jin's rating should only be E level. Panicking, Chuta bows deeply and apologizes, admitting he acted rashly and begging Jin to help him save his master from disgrace. Jin walks past him calmly, stating that if everything could be solved with an apology, there would be no grudges left in this world. Jin walks away calmly as the surrounding people instinctively step aside. Chuta grits his teeth, sweat pouring down his face, until Jin violently sends Chuta flying, crashing hard against the ground. Onlookers whisper in shock, realizing that the terrifying guard from the appraisal shop is now the one being beaten, reversing the roles of past incidents. Chuta kneels and bows deeply, apologizing repeatedly as Jin stands unmoved. The surrounding customers stare in shock, whispering among themselves as they question Jin's identity and wonder why the demonic guard suddenly lowered his head. Jin stands silently at the doorway, saying nothing as the atmosphere grows heavy and everyone hesitates to speak or move. Ying steps forward, sincerely apologizing to Jin for the disrespect shown by her guard. She bows deeply, asking Jin to accept their heartfelt apology as a sign of respect and goodwill. Jin looks back calmly, his eyes steady. Ying calmly tells him that if he ever visits her city in the future, she will receive them properly and arrange an official meeting at a later time. Jin studies the woman quietly, distant memories surfacing as he compares her features to someone from his past. He wonders if she could be related to the aunt he once knew long ago. Ying introduces herself and asks Jin to help cure her illness. He calmly asks what compensation she can offer in exchange for his help. Ying agrees immediately and presents items and documents for him to examine. Chuta questions whether someone so young like Jin could truly resolve her condition. Ying states that only she fully understands the truth behind her illness. Chuta still expresses his hesitation. Ying warns that matters within her family are complicated and sensitive. She insists she has no alternatives and cannot afford to miss this opportunity. Jin agrees to proceed with the treatment without delaying any further. Ying changes her clothing to properly prepare for the upcoming process. She nervously asks whether this method is truly acceptable to him. Jin focuses as his eyes glow, spiritual light gathering within them. The spiritual chart shows many classifications, proving that professionals are not limited to combat roles. Jin senses something unusual and realizes this case is far from ordinary. Ying reveals she possesses an imaginary spiritual blueprint body. She asks what this strange power inside her actually represents. Jin explains that her ability is extremely rare and highly valuable. He states that the imaginary spiritual blueprint body is a gold-class professional skill. Ying is visibly shocked upon hearing the term gold class. Jin explains that such abilities are rare and often inherited through bloodlines. He believes one of her ancestors must have possessed the same talent. Ying reveals that her great-grandmother was once a powerful witch. Jin notes calmly that her great-grandmother has already passed away. Jin states the dead cannot be chased and begins teaching Ying spiritual control through the Eternal Soul Trilogy, urging strict focus to safely transform her body. Jin explains the Eternal Soul Trilogy is a secret technique that generates and transmits energy, reducing bodily damage during transformation, as Ying kneels and thanks him sincerely. Painful cries echo from the room as the process starts, startling Chuta outside, while the intense spiritual refinement continues inside. Ying sits cross-legged, glowing with purple light as spiritual energy surges through her body. Time passes as Jin observes that Ying's comprehension and superiority are far lower than before, even after spending hours guiding her through the Eternal Soul Trilogy. Spiritual light concentrates at Ying's chest as the transformation continues. Jin notices unfamiliar spiritual energy forming within her. He explains that this is external spiritual energy attaching during transformation. Jin condenses dark star stones into refined, usable energy. The medium dark star stone is rapidly drained of its power. Jin realizes attaching the medium dark crystals has boosted the absorption rate of average starstones nearly tenfold, an outcome he did not anticipate. He decides that by refining all remaining medium dark crystals, he will be fully prepared to break through and ascend further. Jin activates Infinite Qi Gong, channeling energy as multiple dark crystals float and spin around him. Suddenly, Jin senses something wrong and pauses. He discovers a barrier blocking his progress and realizes his current physical foundation is insufficient to forcibly break through it. Jin worries that continuing this path will heavily burden his body. He hesitates briefly as violent energy surges uncontrollably. Ying calmly accepts the risk and chooses to continue regardless. Jin steels himself, realizing there is no other choice, and pushes forward. Jin sits down calmly, steadying his breathing as he prepares to stabilize his body after the intense refinement process. Spiritual energy gathers around his hands, flowing smoothly as he concentrates and carefully guides the circulation within his body. Multiple formations activate simultaneously around Jin, their patterns glowing as they begin working together in coordination. Golden threads of light intertwine, forming a dense and intricate array that surrounds and reinforces his position. Jin adjusts his posture, aligning his body precisely with the formation to prevent spiritual backlash. Sweat forms on Jin's face as the pressure intensifies, testing his endurance and control. The test concludes, and Jin is officially declared successful in stabilizing the distorted formation. Jin reflects that the ordeal revealed his lack of refined control despite his growing power. Ying nearby watches him silently, her expression calm but attentive. She confirms that the damaged enchanting lineup has been completely restored. Overcome with gratitude, Ying suddenly steps forward and hugs Jin tightly. Shuda quickly reminds her to mind her appearance and wear proper clothing. He drops to his knees and formally addresses Jin. He apologizes for doubting Jin's abilities earlier. Jin acknowledges his loyalty and reliability, openly expressing their trust. Jin calmly states that his services are not provided for free. Chuda immediately gives him the items he requested on his list, and the dagger has also been raided. A box containing tools and materials is placed in front of Jin. Among the items, a bronze-rank dagger is revealed. Jin picks up the dagger and examines the legendary grade weapon. Jin channels spiritual energy into the dagger to test its quality and response. The others are visibly shocked by the value and craftsmanship of the items. Jin asks what happened to everyone during the earlier incident. They brush it aside, choosing instead to praise Jin continuously. Jin quietly leaves the room as their conversation continues. One man watches Jin depart, his expression conflicted and uncertain. Jin walks alone through the city streets under the night sky. He suddenly remembers something important. A green light flashes from his space pocket. Groot eats while Jin questions how it got to his space pocket. Groot happily drinks spilled spiritual liquid from the container. Jin realizes the spiritual potion is being consumed as food. He arrives at the Dawn City Warriors Guild Hall. Jin notes that spiritual potions are extremely expensive commodities. Duro greets Jin as he enters the hall and tells him about the exchange meeting. Jin refuses the invitation outright, saying he has no interest in beginner-level gatherings or events meant for so-called talented professionals. He notes that slots for exchange meetings are extremely limited, making such opportunities rare and highly competitive. A flyer reveals the exchange meeting's prize, which is 10 boxes containing 1 million doses of spiritual energy medicine. Duro explains that participating in the exchange meeting will positively impact the military guild and urges Jin to reconsider. Duro lowers Jin's expectations, saying newly certified professionals rarely gain much from exchange meetings dominated by veterans. Jin acknowledges Duro's warning, promising to be careful and not act recklessly as he leaves the discussion behind. Song and Chen identify Jin as a suspect after confirming the fatal wound on Luke's body was caused by a sharp weapon and not a monster. They agree that Jin is likely the prime suspect based on current evidence and prior contact with the victim. They vow revenge, declaring that they will personally make Jin pay with his life. The scene shifts to the martial arts arena of Dawn City, where an exchange meeting for professional geniuses from various guilds is about to begin. Numerous professionals gather inside the arena, each possessing at least silver-level talent. Jin surveys the arena and finds it impressive. Others note that Jin has already registered for the exchange event. The exchange meeting is officially announced to begin. While Lena notices Jin, Shigo comments that Jin has just become a professional yet joined the exchange immediately. They say his luck is poor, as his first opponent is far stronger. An E-level knight named Bobby steps forward and introduces himself. Jin suddenly punches Bobby in the face, calling him weak and overly talkative. Jin is suddenly struck and sent flying, his body spinning violently as the unexpected blow lands with overwhelming force. He crashes to the ground in pain, clutching himself as he struggles to understand what just hit him. Jin looks up in confusion, realizing the attack came from someone nearby with frightening speed. Bobby mocks him, accusing Jin of attacking when he was unprepared and threatening to knock his teeth out next. Jin calmly responds, questioning if this counts as a sneak attack, unimpressed by the provocation. Jin senses killing intent and realizes there are two distinct sources watching the fight closely. One killing intent feels familiar, which belongs to Song, while the other is unfamiliar, far more intense and deeply unsettling. Bobby charges forward aggressively, declaring he will show Jin the true strength of an E-level knight. He swings his sword, unleashing a glowing light slash aimed directly at Jin. Jin raises his hand calmly and orders Bobby to leave, flames forming effortlessly in his palm. Jin counters instantly, his fiery punch colliding with Bobby's attack and overpowering it mid-strike. The surrounding onlookers stare in shock, unable to believe what they are witnessing. They realize Jin is fighting barehanded, directly clashing with a knight's sword using only his fists. Bobby is slammed into the ground, groaning in pain as he wonders how Jin's punch could be so powerful. The arena announces Jin's victory, officially declaring him the winner on behalf of the Warriors Guild. Onlookers are stunned, realizing Jin used only his fists to overpower a knight wielding a broadsword, calling him a true genius. Lena praises Jin, noting his golden talent must be body enhancement, impressed that he became a professional not long ago. Shigo explains Jin precisely struck the knight's broadsword barehanded, relying on explosive strength and a powerful physique to win in one punch. Lena remarks that she and Jin awakened golden talents around the same time, urging others to work harder and not fall behind him. She silently reflects that as long as she can see Jin's back ahead of her, she would already be satisfied. A man accuses Jin of killing his brother, claiming that defeating an E-rank knight in one move proves Jin is the murderer. The man steps forward and confronts Jin directly, telling him to wait as killing intent surges between them. Jin launches forward, flames erupting around his leg as he delivers a powerful spinning kick infused with explosive strength. The attacker rushes in to retaliate, but Jin remains calm, effortlessly facing him head-on without hesitation. Jin kicks the man away, sending him flying as onlookers comment that he relies on his golden talent to instantly strengthen his body. A defeated spectator envies Jin, thinking that with a golden talent like his, they would be far more outstanding than him. Others grumble behind Jin, discussing the gifts from the Starlight Bestowal and questioning why Golden Tier spirits did not choose them instead. Jin calmly reflects that golden talents clearly enhance physical strength, confirming this outcome is exactly what he intended. An official steps forward and announces for everyone to prepare, declaring that the next contestant will soon enter the arena. Jin walks away as the announcement echoes, revealing the next match, and it is between Warrior Guild Jin versus Knight Guild Leon. Spectators recognize Leon from the Knight Guild, calling him a genius and noting that this match is worth watching. People mention that Leon is Luke's brother, saying he was also an E-level knight with a bright future. Leon listens silently, his expression cold as the discussion around him continues. The crowd urges Leon to crush Jin, claiming Jin's luck has run out and mocking him as an easy target. Shigo praises Leon as a true genius of the Knight Guild, believing Jin's victory streak ends here. Jin realizes that the other source of killing intent comes from Luke's brother, and his gaze sharpens as the truth clicks. Leon asks Jin if he remembers Luke, mentioning that the knight recently joined the professionals' ranks. Jin initially says he does not recall Luke, then suddenly remembers and casually describes the man who was controlled and later beaten to death. Enraged, Leon unleashes his aura and shouts that Jin dared to insult his brother, vowing not to let him leave today. The crowd senses Leon's overwhelming holy radiance, recognizing that his strength is far beyond that of an ordinary E-rank knight. Shigo notes that Leon's spiritual power has already reached the peak of E-rank, leaving Jin at a clear disadvantage. Lena senses danger, realizing this fight won't be simple and that Jin may not survive the clash. Song concludes that with this timing, Leon will surely eliminate Jin, allowing himself to relax. Leon charges forward, declaring he will turn Jin into a sieve. He unleashes his E-rank skill, Holy Spear Barrage, as golden spears rain down toward Jin. The spectators recognize the technique as Holy Spear Barrage, praising Leon's mastery of an E-rank skill. They note that the spear technique shows refined control, but that alone won't be enough. Jin charges forward instead of retreating, sword drawn with perfect timing. His blade precisely intercepts and deflects the incoming golden spears mid-flight. The crowd erupts in shock as Jin uses sword edges to counter spear tips, defying all expectations. The audience is stunned as Jin blocks Leon's attacks head-on, revealing strength far beyond expectations. Lena reacts in disbelief, while the two clash swords directly. Leon acknowledges the power behind Jin's strike. Unfazed, Jin calmly challenges Leon to face his blade. Leon grows frustrated, unable to understand Jin's sudden growth. Threatening to kill him, Leon swallows a pill. Explosive energy erupts as his power surges violently. The arena trembles under the sudden release of force. Shigo panics as Leon breaks into D-rank. A massive energy construct forms behind him, drawing awe from the crowd. Sensing danger, Jin moves to evade. Lena urgently warns Jin not to block the attack directly. Song coldly concludes that Jin is finished. Leon's explosive power erupts, engulfing the arena in violent energy. Believing the outcome decided, Leon declares victory, convinced he has avenged his brother. Suddenly, Jin reappears within striking range, shocking everyone. Leon freezes in disbelief as he realizes he can no longer stab Jin. Jin stands again, energy still flowing. He reveals he had already sensed Leon's hidden explosive spirit. The energy binds to Leon's spear, causing his hand to stick. Panic sets in as Jin declares it is now his turn. Jin releases a refined burst of power. A suffocating pressure fills the arena. Observers realize he broke through mid-battle. Jin charges and slams Leon with overwhelming force, sending him flying. Leon crashes into the structure, gravely injured. The crowd confirms his defeat as Song stares in disbelief. Jin orders the referee to announce the result, while others warn Jin that he may have gone too far. An official analyzes the fight, noting Jin has only recently become a professional, yet the power he just displayed already surpasses expectations. Leon glares in fury, cursing Jin as a despicable scoundrel. A glowing wound burns through Leon's chest, his core visibly damaged by the strike. Another heavy impact lands, sending Leon crashing back as blood sprays from his mouth. Jin walks away calmly, stating he never shows mercy to enemies, but decides to spare Leon for now and orders the rescue team to move in. A spectator praises Jin as a true genius, recognizing his golden talent after the battle. The scene shifts to the Warrior Guild interior, its halls momentarily quiet. News reaches the guild master during his seclusion, prompting immediate concern. Calculating the timing, Chen decides to deal with Jin and Duro together, planning to eliminate both in one move. Guild members begin moving through the hall as orders are set in motion. Duro confronts Chen directly, demanding to know what he is doing. Chen explodes in anger, questioning how Jin was allowed to participate, then announces that Jin has already died at the Genius Exchange meeting. Duro is stunned, repeating Jin's name in disbelief as the news sinks in. Feigning righteous fury, Chen orders his men to arrest Duro, claiming he deliberately caused the death of the guild's genius. Jin stands at the center as the crowd discusses the first-place winner of the Genius Exchange meeting. Spectators marvel that Jin is only 18, already possessing golden talent and securing first place shortly after becoming a professional. Jin reflects that the organizers were unusually generous, though he mainly appreciates that Groot's food supply is temporarily secured. Shigo admits Jin genuinely dominated the exchange, noting how hard golden talents must work to reach this level. Lena responds that she understands what the butler is saying. With Jin's performance, Shigo believes the Warrior Guild might even make an exception and allow him into the Dawn Fortress trial. He argues that true professionals are forged through hardship, and only high-risk challenges can accelerate real growth. As night traffic flows through the city, Jin leaves the arena behind. Inside the car, Jin checks his space pocket, calmly inspecting it. Groot happily gulps down the energy, clearly delighted as Jin watches in silence. Jin frowns at the crude design of the spatial pocket, deciding it needs improvement when he has time. The driver asks why he is leaving the martial arena so early. Jin explains that the Genius Exchange meeting has already ended, so he naturally returned. When asked who placed first, Jin casually replies that it was him. He congratulates him, noting that the Warrior Guild will likely double his training after this. Jin reflects that, sometimes, talent is something hard work simply cannot replace. The car arrives before a grand, golden-lit building belonging to the Warrior Guild. Jin notices unfamiliar figures ahead and realizes they are from the Dawn City law enforcement team. The officers move in, accusing Duro of plotting against Jin during the Genius Exchange meeting. Others protest, insisting Duro has always cared for Jin and would never harm him intentionally. Everyone warns them not to be fooled by Chen, claiming he often hides behind a righteous facade. Wang, an officer, reveals an intelligence stating that Jin already died during the Genius Exchange meeting, prompting the law enforcement team to declare the evidence against Duro conclusive. The room falls silent until Duro declares that he has a clear conscience and believes that the case will be judged fairly once it reaches the law enforcement department. The officers escort Duro against their wishes. Chen coldly tells Duro that fabricating charges requires solid evidence, and once accusations stick, no one can help clear them. He scoffs confidently, clearly convinced the situation is already under his control. In a sudden blur of motion, Chen is struck hard before he can react. His body is sent flying, smashing violently into the hall amid shock and flames. Jin steps forward calmly, addressing everyone as the chaos freezes in place. The hall freezes as voices erupt, with several people demanding to know who just stepped in. Jin calmly calls out Chen, pointing out that he never settled their past score and is now spreading false information. He casually mentions hearing rumors that he already died, his presence instantly overturning the lie. The crowd realizes Jin left the Genius Exchange meeting midway, explaining how the deception went unnoticed. Wang turns uneasy, admitting Chen's story sounded convincing, making the revelation even more shocking. Chen questions how Jin could still be alive, realizing his mistake and panics internally. People recognize that Chen has been manipulating events. Silently, Wang calls Chen a fool while trying to think of a solution. He states that Jin withdrew early because he sensed danger. Jin questions Wang's assumption about leaving the exchange meeting early, explaining he returned after participating and timing it carefully. News spreads that Jin finished the exchange fastest in history, stunning the crowd by the revelation. It is announced that Jin secured first place and broke the record. Jin reveals he and Duro were secretly investigating Chen, while he tries to deny everything and claims it is impossible. Jin exposes Chen for using remnants of the strange fist blade. He releases pressure, forcing others back with overwhelming presence. Wang suddenly restrains Chen and declares that today is the day he faces retribution, leaving Jin suspicious of Wang's actions. Jin is surprised that Dawn City law enforcement is involved. He realizes Chen and Song have powerful backing. Jin questions what leverage their families are using. Duro assures him the guild leader will personally investigate. Duro suddenly grabs Jin, stunning the latter. Duro admits he underestimated Jin until his injuries flare up, causing visible pain. Jin orders him to rest and recover first. Duro says he asked Jin to stay for an important matter. Suddenly, Xiao, Duro's assistant, arrives with the requested items prepared. Jin acknowledges Duro's first place at the Genius Exchange meeting. He says Duro's spiritual power must be tested. A crystal used to measure talent is presented. Jin places his hand on the crystal. Golden light erupts, stunning everyone. The test confirms Jin has reached D rank. Duro and Xiao praise him as a true genius. He says D rank combined with golden talent is enough. Jin finally asks about the important matter, until Duro brings up the Dawn Fortress trial. Duro recalls the trial's significance in Dawn City. The Dawn Fortress is shown during the city's founding era. It once protected humanity from monsters and calamities. The trial is held every 3 years for those under 30. It is a grand event for all of Dawn City. Duro reveals a spiritual cold pond beneath the fortress. Top performers gain access for cultivation. He warns the trial is extremely dangerous. Jin decides he cannot miss this opportunity and believes reaching C rank will make him unrivaled in the city. Duro finally gives Jin the rewards they promised to him. Duro rewards Jin for his record-breaking performance, granting him the right to use a professional community house owned by the guild. He explains that although Song used his authority to occupy Jin's family villa, the issue will be resolved once the guild leader leaves seclusion. Jin calmly thanks Duro, acknowledging his intentions while noting that the guild leader may take time to intervene. Lowering his gaze, Jin decides that some matters cannot wait and must be resolved by his own hands. As night falls over the city, Jin moves forward alone. Jin begins intense cultivation inside the house. Cultivation difficulty increases after reaching D rank. Days pass with minimal spiritual power growth. Meanwhile, Groot enjoys its meal as he trains, prompting Jin to remember that he used the little tree to tamper a bit with Leon. Jin praises Groot's outstanding abilities, while he equips new gear suited for stealth. Jin evaluates his thief-like physique and equipment. He moves across rooftops at night. Leon remains connected to life support equipment as he tries to recover. Several figures arrive silently at the medical facility. Inside a dimly lit room, members of the Dawn City law enforcement quietly convene. Deputy Minister Feng identifies Jin's power as an explosive-type golden talent, concluding that leaving him unchecked would be dangerous. He proposes eliminating Jin during the upcoming Dawn Fortress trial, calling it the perfect opportunity. Confidently, Feng reassures his subordinate that Jin is already within their control. Dismissing Jin as nothing more than an E-rank professional, they agree that killing him would be effortless. Officials decide that Leon is already useless and knows too many secrets, ordering his death to be blamed on Jin. Leon lies unconscious in a hospital bed, surrounded by medical equipment in the quiet room. He remains motionless, unaware of the danger closing in on him. He suddenly wakes in terror, his eyes wide as panic takes over. He weakly cries for help while struggling on the bed, clearly unable to escape. A shadowy figure appears outside the window, which turns out to be Jin, asking Leon if he wants to live. Leon lies poisoned on the hospital bed, fearing that death is inevitable. He desperately refuses to accept dying like this despite his condition. Jin enters the room and asks Leon again if he wants to live. Leon questions whether he is hallucinating before his death. Jin calmly tells him to speak if he knows anything useful, offering survival in exchange. Leon convinces himself this must be an illusion since the man is his enemy. Jin realizes the poison tormenting him is a rare withering poison. He dismisses it as a mere C-rank poison and approaches calmly. Groot spits on a cloth, then Jin puts it on Leon's forehead. Jin explains that Groot's saliva can neutralize the withering poison. Leon regains clarity and realizes he can speak again. Jin confirms the poison suppression is working. Leon asks how Jin could neutralize the withering poison. He warns Leon to stop pretending and explain himself. Leon senses Jin's aura and finds it even more terrifying than Feng's. Terrified, Leon begs Jin and promises to tell everything he knows. Jin silently observes Leon from outside the room. Jin acknowledges that the situation is more interesting than expected. He reassures Leon that his life will be spared for now. Jin explains that Leon must temporarily die to survive later. Leon realizes he has provoked someone far beyond his level. Jin leaves the room quietly as machines continue monitoring Leon. Jin reflects on the mastermind behind Dawn City's underground organization. He notes that the Dark Star organization operates far more deeply than expected. Jin senses he is getting closer to the truth. He plans to seize the upcoming Dawn Fortress trial to break into C rank. The scene shifts to the outskirts of Dawn Fortress. Meanwhile, Liam praises Yuki, who is the genius of the Thief Guild, pressuring him to secure the first place in the Dawn of Fortress trial. Yuki expresses full confidence in his ability. Yuki reveals he possesses 49 spiritual lines. Liam explains that a 7-level spiritual foundation is extremely rare. Yuki believes even Ding can be defeated once he reaches B rank. Yuki suddenly senses danger nearby. A violent clash erupts in the forest ahead. Liam warns that monsters are fighting near the Dawn Fortress outskirts. They rush forward to investigate and offer help if needed. The battlefield reveals a flame wolf pack roaming the area. The Flame Wolf King has already reached C rank strength. The wolves' corpses show they were killed cleanly in a single strike. Liam notices a young figure possibly participating in the Dawn Fortress trial, while Yuki is shocked that someone could wipe out a Flame Wolf pack so easily. Liam reminds him that mentality determines survival among professionals. He warns that Dawn City hides countless hidden dragons and crouching tigers, urging him to remain cautious if he encounters that person. Meanwhile, Jin leaves behind the Flame Wolf corpses, noting their value but abandoning them after an unexpected interruption. He arrives at the Dawn Fortress, recognizing it as a structure opened by predecessors in a dark and chaotic region. Duro approaches and checks on Jin, reminding him that he was supposed to come with the guild team. Smiling in relief, Duro admits he was worried Jin might miss the start of the trial. Jin reassures Duro that he is fine and was only delayed by a few D-rank monsters. Duro notes that with Jin's current strength, ordinary D-rank monsters pose no threat. Sensing something off and noticing Jin's aura feels much stronger than before. Jin explains that while his internal spiritual power hasn't changed much, everything else has. Jin asks Duro not to focus on him and check on himself first, but Duro reassures him that a little injury should not be a problem. Duro downplays his injuries, saying the wound only feels itchy rather than painful. Jin calls him stubborn while observing him closely. They proceed deeper as other participants move toward the trial grounds. The Dawn Fortress arena activates, flooding the area with golden light. Jin is shocked by the sheer number of professionals gathered for the trial. The Dawn Fortress trial is explained as a major event held every 3 years, broadcast nationwide. Duro warns Jin to be extremely cautious during the trial. Jin acknowledges the warning but jokes about Duro repeating himself. Duro explains that guild seniors are observing them closely. Jin agrees, while others comment on Duro's long-winded nature. Another warrior assures Duro that the guild will ensure Jin's safety during the trial. Jin reflects that at least the guild genuinely cares for its newer members. The interior of the Dawn Fortress is revealed, vast and cathedral-like. Someone suddenly notices Duro's presence inside the fortress. Sheena, a B-rank warlock, stands confidently with her apprentice. Jin recognizes Sheena and feels pressure from the elder's presence. The warrior introduces her as a B-rank warlock and leader of the Warlock Guild team. Sheena mocks Duro, pointing out his lack of progress and low rank. The Warlock Guild ridicules Jin as a so-called awakened genius. Duro questions whether the Warrior Guild has any real successors left. The Warlock Guild boasts that their elite geniuses will dominate the trial. Sheena openly mocks the Warrior Guild's supposed talents. She challenges them to a bet based on the trial's outcome. Sheena produces a bottle of B-rank spiritual essence as the wager. Duro immediately accepts the bet, unfazed by the stakes. Sheena declares the bet will be settled after the trial concludes. The other warriors are frustrated, realizing Duro has agreed without thinking. Duro internally regrets accepting the bet so impulsively. Sheena recalls that the B-rank spiritual essence is his prized possession. Finally, the Dawn Fortress trial officially begins. A massive dimensional gate opens inside the fortress. Participants gather as the portal stabilizes with violent spatial energy. The crowd begins entering the dimensional space within the Dawn Fortress. Jin observes the environment, confirming it is a separate dimensional zone. The trial space fills with moving silhouettes and echoes of footsteps. The warrior instructs Jin to stay near the outer perimeter and avoid going too deep. Jin is pleased to finally act alone. He moves swiftly through the dark corridors of the fortress. The atmosphere grows tense as faint sounds echo around him. A fortress guardian, an E-rank monster, suddenly appears. Jin reacts instantly, striking the monster down. He lands smoothly, barely slowing his momentum. Jin recalls that the Dawn Fortress trial awards points for monster kills. Realizing low-rank monsters are inefficient, he decides to hunt higher-level prey instead. Jin enters the ruined passage as fortress hounds surround him from all sides. He notes that the number of monsters is overwhelming for an average D-rank professional. Without hesitation, Jin charges forward, flames igniting around his arm. The hounds leap in unison as he stands his ground. Jin releases a sweeping burst of fire, striking them head-on. The ground is soon littered with fallen fortress hounds. A blue spectral essence rises from their remains. Jin observes that their essence has little individual value but is useful in bulk. He absorbs the essence, converting it into materials for spiritual foundations. He comments on the pocket dimension's unpleasant appearance as it reshapes itself. Jin continues forward through the corridor. Suddenly, Derek, a peak C rank, spots Jin and recognizes him instantly. He mocks Jin, claiming he offended powerful figures. Derek restrains himself as he was instructed by Lord Feng to make his actions seamless to avoid getting noticed by the Warrior Guild. He prepares to use the Bottle of Azure Dream as he makes his move. Derek pulls out the elixir, explaining its effect spreads rapidly. He claims Jin should feel honored to die under such a rare potion as green mist begins seeping through the corridor. Meanwhile, Jin remains calm as more monsters try to attack him. A D-rank ironclad war zombie emerges from the haze. Jin clashes directly with the ironclad war zombie. He quickly notes its lack of intelligence and poor combat ability. With a clean strike, he cripples the monster. Jin tallies the points earned and deems the fight worthwhile. He decides to collect the monster's armor materials as well. Reaching the end of the corridor, Jin finds no road ahead. Sensing something wrong, he studies the surroundings carefully. He notices incomplete footprints along the wall. Jin deduces there must be a hidden mechanism. He identifies a concealed trapdoor within the structure. Activating his perception ability, Jin scans the walls. He realizes the secret lies in the torches mounted along the corridor. Jin recalls the correct activation sequence. He lights the torches in the order of 1, 3, and 5. He then rotates the remaining torches in sequence. The torches ignite simultaneously as the mechanism activates. The wall trembles and slowly opens. Jin steps through the newly revealed doorway. Inside, armored guards stand in formation. Jin calmly faces them. He identifies them as C-rank fortress knights, 3 in total. Jin remarks that they would overwhelm most trial participants. Flames flare again around his arm as he prepares to fight. He clenches his fist, eager for battle. The monsters raise their weapons in response. Green mist continues to drift behind Jin as the confrontation begins. The armored knight lunges forward as Jin meets the attack head-on inside the fortress. He twists his body and narrowly deflects multiple spear strikes aimed at his vitals. Flames gather around his fist as he counters with a burning punch. He swings down with force, smashing through the knight's guard. The knight staggers back as the impact echoes through the stone hall. The spears pierce Jin, but it turns out that he used an illusion, recalling asking Duro to help him purchase skills from the black market before the trial. The fortress knights suddenly react, sensing something unusual. Jin charges again, flames blazing as he closes the distance. Another knight is sent flying by the force of his attack. Sweat runs down his face as he realizes the situation is escalating. A fallen knight begins to glow, hinting at something abnormal. Another knight raises its weapon and launches a precise thrust. Jin slips behind the knight, striking from its blind spot. He lands a heavy blow that sends the knight crashing into the ground. Several glowing figures begin to appear across the battlefield. He turns and sees a knight fully restored by mysterious energy. He realizes he miscalculated, as the fortress knights are replenishing their essence. A large magic array activates beneath the knights. He identifies it as a rare and advanced puppet array. The puppet array absorbs spiritual energy to rapidly resurrect the knights. Jin deduces the room was once a guarded treasure vault. A hooded spirit suddenly manifests and orders him to leave. He notices the array has already awakened its spirit consciousness. He recalls that in his past life, he built only an 8th grade spiritual foundation. He wonders if this opportunity could let him reach his former level again. He decides to build an even stronger spiritual foundation than before. He tests the defensive barrier, realizing it is extremely difficult to break. The spirit angrily commands him to leave again. More fortress knights emerge and surround him. He realizes the spirit is summoning all puppets at once. He activates Blink, unleashing Warlock Inception to break the seal. A wave of dark energy surges forward at extreme speed. He grabs the spirit statue directly, forcefully suppressing it. The spirit screams as its control begins to collapse. Jin steadies himself, relieved that his timing was not off. He declares that the puppet array is now under his control. He gathers the essence extracted from the fortress hounds. He channels the array, which is connected to the warlock statue. He absorbs the statue's accumulated spiritual power into his body. He reflects on the vast gap between low-tier and upper-tier professionals. Jin begins forming a proper spiritual foundation within his body. He recalls the structure of spirit lines for lower, middle, and upper classes. Golden spiritual lines swirl violently around him. He realizes the warlock statue's power is